Hello, everyone, and welcome to America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, good to have you with us on FS2. We're going to start here, then we're going to shift gears and head over to FS1 as soon as their programming wraps up. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Suring. A lot to unpack from a busy day on the Derby Trail on Saturday. And our feature here today in New York, we're going to see three-year-old debut of Velvet Sister. She's been in stake after stake after stake, and now she gets a little easier company.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that even as a 2-year-old, she was running races that from a buyer figure scale were fast enough to win this race. If she shows routine improvement off the layoff, she may just be too good for these horses. Probably a big favorite. It just doesn't feel like that competitive a race. She's way the horse to beat.
Manny Franco, he will pick up the mount on Velvet Sister for trainer Steve Asmussen, who looks like
he didn't win a Derby prep yesterday, the poor guy.
It's amazing. He might
really
next
sad.
week, though. He
really
seems more loaded potentially than he's ever been going into a Kentucky Derby.
No,
we'll see what happens next week.
It's hard to believe, especially considering he had horses like Gunrunner. But one of the things that Steve does is sometimes he moves them up as they get older. So sometimes maybe they're almost not ready for it. He's ready for the Derby this year.
Third from Oaklawn's going to be our first live action of the afternoon. Out in Hot Springs, 20,000 claiming race. Non-winners at 2 lifetimes, 6 Furlong Sprint. We'll have more in this race coming up in just a moment. We're going to check in right now with Gary Stevens. Tremendous Arkansas Derby day, Gary.
Yes, it was. We had 60,000 people here yesterday. Didn't get out until it was pitch black out of here last night from the set. Had a great time yesterday covering the races. I thought everybody did a great job, including the horses. They put on some great performances. We saw Cyberknife come and do what he's been showing in the morning. He showed up yesterday, day afternoon. He was impressive. But to today's races, we're right on top of the third race. We've got 8 tonight. Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario. I've got a feeling that we're going to see a lot of these guys in the winner's circle this afternoon. A lot of this partnership of Joel Rosario and Steve Asmussen. They've got some live ones coming, guys.
And they get bet, as always, which is the case again here. Aiden Ike, Asmussen, Rosario. 4-5 and a horse who took 13 starts to break through and get that maiden win last time out.
I agree. It's not like you want to take a run to the window to bet a horse at a short price coming off a maiden win in his 14th start. But when you start looking at the competition for Aiden Ike, it's not there based on his last race. The question is, where did his last race come from? It was off the claim for Carl Broberg. It was considerably faster than any of the races he had run prior, especially on the dirt. So is it a reliable number? I don't know. It does seem like it's a little bit on the high side. I just wish I had an alternative. My best alternative is the second choice, Dixie Penny. At least 2 and 3 back, this horse ran figures that could beat everybody else. And if the 3-8 Aiden Ike doesn't return to his last figure or her last figure, she's vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, she had a body of work, 12 prior starts, and had never come close to that number. There she is stepping in. Maybe she's just turned a corner. We will find out 3-5 now.
I can't bet her, but I can't find somebody to bet against her with.
Well put. Vic Stauffer.
Little Burrito and Aiden Ike break well. Dixie Penny is close up, so is Fully Aware. Little Bird Flash is 5th, but only 2 from the lead, and the trailer is Icy Wilburnia. Aiden Ike and Fully Aware up the backstretch. Aiden Ike ahead in front. Fully Aware on the attack, 3 deep in second, with Dixie Penny right there between horses third. Little Burrito is 4th. She's at the rail and 2.5 off the lead and 2.5 in front of Little Bird Flash, and then 6 lengths last to Icy Wilburnia. Aiden Ike and Fully Aware still 1-2. Aiden Ike, a half length in front of Fully Aware in second. Here's Little Burrito to move through at the rail. She's taken third with forward momentum and 2 off the lead. Then comes Little Bird Flash as Dixie Penny drops out, and Icy Wilburnia is the trailer, and Aiden Ike is the leader. Aiden Ike, without being asked yet, has opened up a 2-length lead. Little Burrito is beginning to run after her. Little Bird Flash in the middle is running a good one, and here's Little Bird Flash after Aiden Ike. Aiden Ike, a 3-length lead. Little Bird Flash is second. Little Burrito is third, and Dixie Penny 4th, but it's Aiden Ike, hand-ridden to the wire. Aiden Ike in front. Aiden Ike won by 2.5. Little Bird Flash was second. Little Burrito third. Dixie Penny finished 4th.
Aiden Ike by Aikenite, and the turnaround is real, apparently.
I'm beginning to think that he has an evil twin, and the evil twin ran her first 12 races, and now the good Aiden Ike is showing up. I'm just glad that that Evil Twin is gone, because she is a better horse in her last 2 starts, and certainly a lot better than this field.
And if someone happened to put in a claim for $20,000 this time, they got to feel pretty good going forward.
Yeah, well, she'll move up that non-winner's 3 lifetime in her next start. And you know what? If she gets claimed from Steve Asmussen, I got a feeling getting that $19,200 purse, he'll be okay. He owns the horse. He claimed it. He's fine.
And first of all, I mean, if Connections had just held on to this horse cost $1,000 at auction.
Wow.
It's one now going in before this race over $66,000.
I always liked those Aikenites. Aikenite ran for the Dogwood Stable. Todd Pletcher trained. Was actually a nice horse. Don't see a lot of Aikenites out there, but this one for $1,000 looks like it's worth well more.
True bargain, yes. So Rosario Asmussen strike early in the 3rd at Aqueduct as we head back to New York. 5th race, I should say, approaching the 16-minute mark to post. Going to kick off the late pick 5, and we'll go through this field when we come back. We have an even money favorite on a first-time starter. We'll talk about it when we come back. Must have ability. Stay with us.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We are back on America's Day at the Races, and we're getting set for the late pick 5 coming up here in New York. We'll get to the first leg of the sequence coming up in a moment. First, back to Hot Springs and Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario. Horse that Steve claimed for $20,000 last time out off a maiden win. Wins again. Now, 1 for 13, or I should say 0 for 12 to start. Now 2 for 2.
This is just a completely different horse, right? You look at this horse's races and you don't understand where these last 2 came from. Now we don't know how big this figure was today, but this seems like a real improvement for this horse moving forward for sure. At least last time was.
3-2-1 finish. 3-5 favorite Aiden Ike. We move on to the 4th. 6 Furlong Sprint. 10,000 claiming race. It is for non-winners of 2 lifetime. And Wicked Street, Miss Rita, Flashy Biz all taking money here. Flashy Biz, the 7, seemingly going to need some help up front.
That's the thing. And I thought the alternative was the 3, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, who was going to be part of the pace. But you're right about Flashy Biz. Yeah, she's the horse to beat, but she may need some help up front.
Meanwhile, back here in New York, muddy and sealed racetrack. And this is the race again that kicks off the late pick 5. New York Reds, maiden claiming event, $25,000 claiming tag. And a 6 Furlong Sprint as we went to break last time. we talked about a first-time starter. It's this filly right here who was taking all that money. She was even money. She's still the 7-5 favorite, so the board is telling you that she can run.
It is. Now, I picked this horse, but believe me, I have no information whatsoever. I don't even know when horses that are owned and trained by friends of mine are going to run. But there's just nowhere else to go in this race, Greg. That's the thing. Daredevil Bull is the other horse, and then the 0 for 14 really psyched. The rest of them, not much appealing about it. At least this horse has some pedigree.
Yeah, the Dam was a grade 3 winner on synthetic, did produce a stakes winner on the grass, who was graded stakes placed on dirt.
$1,500 though, back to back, 1,000 in the last race, 1,500 here.
Yeah, could we see it potentially? Dylan Davis already with a big day so far. He's got 2 wins. He'll be aboard here on the 7-5 choice. We are going to be leaving FS2. We're going to swap over to FS1 where we were originally intended to begin our program. So head on over to FS1 in about 15 seconds or so, and our program will continue right over there with the beginning of this Pick 5 from New York and a lot more action coming up from Oaklawn as well on America's Day at the Races. Welcome to America's Day at the Races with live coverage of the Sunday card from Aqueduct. Velvet Sister, she is the filly to beat in the feature. She's been in nothing but stakes company since her debut win. Today she gets an easier test for her 3-year-old debut over in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'll have races 4 through 9 coming up, including the best dirt marathon runner in training last year. After an experiment in the handicap division, today Lone Rock gets back to doing what he does best. And we'll look back at Cyberknife's impressive Arkansas Derby win and the move that landed him in the winner's circle. Also look ahead to his chances on the first Saturday in May. All that more coming up on this Sunday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us here at South Ozone Park, New York. I am Greg Wolf. Welcome to those just joining us from watching NASCAR Race Day. We're going to have a lot to unpack on a busy day on the Triple Crown on Saturday. We'll take a look at all of that and what that means going forward to that first Saturday in May. And, of course, some very good races today. Lone Rock last year was one of the very good stories in racing. At 1.5 miles or beyond, he was nearly unbeatable all of last year. He's going to be back in action, getting back to those longer distances later today at Oaklawn. With me is New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Good to see you on a day after a very busy day on that Triple Crown Trail.
I feel like we were together about 15 minutes ago, actually. It's nice to be back here. And, yeah, a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack from yesterday's big races. And that's what's fun about this time of the year. There are going to be a lot of different opinions. Some of us are going to like certain races. Some of us are going to like certain races less than others. But that's all part of the handicapping process heading towards the Triple Crown races.
Well, later today, the feature at Oaklawn, and give credit to these connections. Lone Rock, he was unbeatable basically at 1.5 miles or beyond last year. They wanted to see if he could be a horse that would be able to tackle some of these great handicap races and be a factor in that division. It didn't work out, so now it's back to these marathon dirt races.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with trying. A lot of times you're better off trying and failing than not trying at all. And this is what he succeeds at. But the good thing is at Oaklawn, at the New York Racing Association, we have some marathon races. They don't usually come up big, huge fields. And a horse like Lone Rock, who just, the longer the better, he just loves these distant races. And he's not just a horse that's a sort of bad horse who's kind of getting lucky winning these long-distance races. I mean, you think about the race he ran at Brooklyn on Belmont Stakes Day. If it wasn't for the Belmont Stakes being such a scintillating race, that might have been one of the performances we remember the most coming out of that day.
He was incredible. He does have a real competitor, though, in this race. A horse that we've seen a couple of times at Oaklawn, Strong Tide, who ran huge last time out at 1.5 miles. We'll see if that horse could pose a challenge, but it'll be fun to see Lone Rock back in action at what he absolutely does best. That's later today, race 8 on the card at Oaklawn. Our conditions here in New York, as we take a look at today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Muddy and sealed racetrack as we get set for the Pick 5 ahead. And fast going in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'll have races 4 through 9 coming up.
Yeah, and you know, Temperance Hill, of course, named for a horse that was owned by, Lob Lolly, who's become Short Leaf Stable, big in Arkansas.
John Ed Anthony, winningest owner in the history of Oaklawn Park. What a 3-year-old campaign he had.
Incredible. And you know, I mean, he won the Belmont. I was there at the Belmont when he won, paid $100. John and Anthony apparently won a suitcase worth of money. There's a lot of good stories about that. The money people came to bet. He won the Travers, won the Super Derby. I think he won the Jockey Club Gold Cup too. Yeah. I think it rained a lot at very opportune moments for Temperance Hill. He was a really good horse trained by Joe Canny.
Stakes 200, that code to use at sign up at Naira Bets or downloading that Naira Bets app to get signed up and started and play along. This race, again, kicks off this late pick 5, so a maiden claiming event, New York breds, sprinting 6 furlongs. And for those just joining us on FS1, we'd be talking with our prior audience about this first-time starter, the 5, attracting all this money on the board, which usually is a sign that this first-timer can run.
On the other hand, maybe it's just a sign that people were thinking like me. I don't want any horses that have run, so I'm going to take this horse that hasn't run because she hasn't shown me yet she can't run. And we were talking about $1,500 for her. The sire, Union Jackson, is a son of Curlin, but the dam side is actually okay. She's got one decent enough runner in there, so perhaps there's some pedigree. And, you know, you look at the competition. Daredevil Bull off the claim for the same trainer, Jeffrey Englehart, who has Jackie's a Fox, and really psyched on the outside is 0 for 14. There is a great appeal to be looking at the firsters in this race.
9-5 on this debuter. It's pick 5 time, so it's Jonathan Kinchin time. How do we play it, JK?
Well, hopefully we play it well here. Look, obviously seeing the board here gives you a little bit more of a push on the 5 here. But I'm going to go ahead and use 4 horses in here. It is a first-time starter, and although I love a tip better than anyone else, they don't always win, and people who bet tips know that as well. I'm going to go 4, 5, 6, and 8 to get started here. In the second leg, I'm going to single the 4, Sinful Dancer. That'll probably make Andy giggle a little bit, but I do think the horse is going to be extremely tough to beat in here. On to the third leg, 4, 5, and 6. The 4, Grudge. The 5, Diva Banker. I think she's going to be sharper, second off a short break and the cutback, and then I'll also use the 6, Prairie Fire. And then onto the feature, I'm going to use the 1 and the 6. I like the 1, Velvet Sister, from the inside on the cutback. I'm hoping to get an aggressive ride. But I thought the 6, Peak of Chic, is a horse that I do think has some early pace figures and drawn outside. I love that with tactical horses. And then to wrap it up in the last, I'm just going to use the 7 and the 9. The 7, Sweet Sugar Baby, the 9, Ice Cream Sundae. I'm not crazy about the 9, Ice Cream Sundae, but I dare you to leave Rudy Rodriguez off your ticket this time of the month.
Yeah, it took money in her debut, too. Those look like the 2 in the nightcap. Here's Giant Bottle to kick off our post parade. Big price in the debut.
Ran ones for trainer Randy Persaud, who's had a very good winter with some big prices, but a little hard to endorse off the 1 effort.
7 starts. This filly has only hit the board once.
Yeah, I just don't know what you look at because even the 1 second-place finish, albeit in a sloppy track, was just slow.
If this race were at Parks, the 4, Daredevil Bull, would be a contender.
Yeah, I spoke incorrectly. I picked Daredevil Bull in top in this race off the claim for Jeffrey Englehart. Has been so good off the claim.
And the best races for her, they have come out of town. First in New York. Jackie's a Fox, the firster, the favorite went by. Here's Work It Out, another first-timer.
Yeah, but Jimmy Ryerson is just 1 for 23 with his first-time stars in maiden claiming races and dirt races over the last 5 years.
Torrens Tail, can you recommend anything?
I can't find anything to like. I guess the second race at Finger Lakes gives the horse a chance.
And it was against Maiden Special at that softer circuit. And then really psyched outside 5-2. This is chance number 15.
I mean, the truth is there's an argument that he's kind of the horse or she's kind of the horse to beat in this race. I just have trouble endorsing a horse that's had her share of chances. But one thing about her, she's never been a super short price in those races.
4 minutes away from this late pick 5. Good luck to everyone getting involved. And you can also get involved in this, the Showdown online contest. It's free to enter. You're competing for real prizes. And you get to see that leaderboard at the end of the show for some bragging rights as well. Go to naira.com/showdown to get involved. So there is Daredevil Bull. Off since early February. Delaware, couple of starts at Parks. That all 3 of those starts really would make this filly a contender.
And why would you have a New York bred and not be running on this circuit? The New York bred races with bigger purses. So that's a bit of a concern with this horse. The horse has the 1 race at Parks, 2 back, that absolutely, excuse me, makes him the horse or her the horse to beat. The problem is she came back last time at a short price and she didn't run well, albeit getting involved in a tough pace. I just didn't know where else to go. I didn't want to pick the first her on top, and I didn't want to pick Really Psyched. Jeffrey Englehart's numbers off the claim recently at Aqueduct have been sensational, so that's why I guessed here.
She showed that speed last start. Do you think that's the game plan again today?
I don't know. I mean, with life at 5, the pace becomes a little murkier, right? I mean, the 7 and 8 have some speed. We'll see. I would think that McCarthy would want to be aggressive.
And it looks like our current favorite right now is coming out of the race. That's Dylan Davis with the saddle cloth of Jackie's a Fox, the first-time starter, and he is walking back. So looks like she is coming out in here. Let's head downstairs and welcome in for the first time today Richard Migliori with more.
Yeah, obviously something went amiss on the way towards the starting gate with the favorite Jackie's a Fox, and she will be scratched. I'll get her update. I'll talk to Dylan Davis and see what happened there. I think the 4-horse, though, Daredevil Bull, who I liked before the inevitable scratch of number 5, Jackie's a Fox. Big, strong daughter of Daredevil. Made a nice appearance in the paddock. Loved the way she galloped over the track. Looked like she really handling the surface, at least in the warm-up. Obviously, a little bit different when they go at racing speed. But she looked good, and to me, I think she's definitely the horse to beat, and will be my top selection. I actually preferred the other first-time starter, looking at him from a physical perspective, the 6 Work It Out. Spoke with Jimmy Ryerson about her. He said she's been quick in the mornings away from the gate. He said, obviously, you hope it translates in the afternoon when it's a little bit of a, different scenario, other horses, more distractions. But he says she has shown some speed in her morning trials. Like I said, I'll get an update and see what took place here. But there'll be a delay, I believe, guys. I think they're going to they've asked for the horse van to give her a ride home. So we'll see what exactly is going on as soon as I can.
All right, Mig, thank you for that. So get to work. There's Dylan. Not an opportunity in this race to collect his third of the afternoon.
Yeah, well, he's going to have other opportunities. I think Dylan has at least one winner on the card so far today. I know Trevor McCarthy won the opener, but I feel like Dylan may have won the second race aboard Hydra.
Yeah, he's got 2.
2? Only 2? It'll be interesting to see, because you're going to see other riders start coming back. I see Javier Castellano is listed to ride here on Thursday, but I have no doubts that Dylan and Trevor and Kendrick, they're going to keep winning races.
It was great for him to win, coming off the first riding title of his career, to get it done at that time and get some notice with a lot of more, bigger names coming in. Of course, some even later in the year, the big guns coming back too.
But Dylan, he missed that time last year, and he came back just a better rider. Not that he wasn't a good rider before, but he came back an even better rider.
You can follow along all the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys in today's action by downloading free past performances from Equibase. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule. There's the address right there, and play along on the program. So with the 4 out, who very likely was going to be the speed of this race as well. Sorry, the 5 out. The 4 becomes likely the speed in here.
I got to think so. It's funny. The pace projector does not have this horse fast. I don't get it. I feel like the pace numbers are a bit wrong with this horse. I have to think this horse is going to be forward in here, and you'd expect that Trevor McCarthy would look to take advantage of that. And it feels like it's a good field to get in front of, doesn't it?
Yeah, just kind of break their spirit early on. Let's head back down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, a little bit of an unusual circumstance with the 5, Jackie's a Fox. She kind of galloped off. Dylan Davis said, fine. Kind of took a misstep, stumbled a bit, and he felt like she was a little bit off, so out of precaution, he jumped off. I was watching her just now. She looks like she's walking fairly sound, but they are going to give her a ride home and make sure they check her out just as a precaution. Always better to err on the side of caution, particularly in a circumstance like this for the first-time starter.
Mig, thanks for that. So keep your eyes on Jackie's a Fox next time out. I'm sure she'll be a short price again, since the word was already out.
That's interesting, yeah, especially if she gets in a field like this one.
So 4 to 5 with that scratch on the one we expect to be in front in here. But it is a question coming to New York for the first time. As you said, she's a New York bred, and why wasn't she in these races earlier running for bigger purses?
Yeah, I mean, I picked her. I never would have taken her if I thought she was going to be this kind of short price in this race, to be honest with you. I mean, I figured the 8 would take a similar amount of money, and obviously they're a first-time starter. So the way it's come down to it, she's 4 to 5. Yeah, you do. Ned Howard, Ned Howard, who originally had this horse, he runs horses in New York all the time. He's aware that she's a New York bred. So I wonder what the reasoning was that she didn't run in New York State bred races.
See if she can get it done here to kick off this Pick 5. Want to remind everyone, you may be hearing it for the first time, coming up on April 10th, New York Racing Association teaming up with Keeneland, Santa Anita, and Hall of Fame jockeys who are members of the Jockeys Guild and other prominent racing personalities to raise money for the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. That's Sunday, April 10th, for the 4th annual telethon to raise money for that foundation. Fan favorite jockeys of today and years past will be on hand live at call centers across the country. And callers who donate can be entered in a drawing to win a pair of reserve tickets to Friday and Saturday at this year's Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland. So that happens this Sunday, or next Sunday, I should say, on the program, all for a great cause.
When's the last time you were at the Breeders' Cup, Greg?
It's when it was, not this past one, but when it was at Del Mar prior.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
That's nice.
For the Friday.
Oh, okay.
Well, I had to come home on the big day.
I'm going to go this year for the first time in a while, maybe longer than that, I think.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going.
We got Oaklawn right-hand side of your screen. Race 4 coming up next. That 6 Furlong Sprint. And we haven't talked a whole lot about it. We briefly touched on Flashy Biz, that's 7. So it gets set for their post-parade coming up, who's going to be potentially pace compromised there. Miss Rita, the 5, looks intriguing off a state-bred maiden claiming win.
And the scratch of the 3 not only takes out a player, but it takes out a significant speed. Now, I don't know if Miss Rita is fast enough. I don't know. You know, the horse on the rails got that faster figure last time out. Doesn't she kind of have to go from the inside? If she doesn't, Miss Rita could find herself loose in here, but she's a little tough to endorse off her maiden claiming win with Arkansas breds, but she's in with Arkansas breds again? Actually, she's not. These are opens.
And some dicey records, really, from a lot of this field, including the 4 on your screen. Very spicy. 1 for 15 lifetimes. She's pretty tough to endorse.
The 2's a better turf horse. She has run 1 decent figure, but in general, she is cutting back in distance. But we'll see if she can get herself in the hunt.
There's Miss Rita. She's a contender. I guess the 6 you can make a case for. She is,
I agree.
First of all, she's cutting back and she's facing easier.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's a good point. She definitely dropping a little bit on the turn back. She did lose last time at even money, and she's 1 for 17, but Flashy Biz is 1 for 27. So you can't hold the 1 for 27. I guess maybe that's one of Miss Rita's best appeals besides being forwardly placed. She's 1 for 5. She's like a win machine compared to the rest of these.
With that 1 win. And for Flashy Biz, that, if you look at that race, too, I just like the move that she made in there. She was running.
Oh, Flashy Biz, it runs her last race. She's the worst to beat, and that was off the claim for Diodoro. But let's also say, you know, she was off the claim for Diodoro last time at 4 to 5. Supposed to have won.
Yeah.
And she maintains her inability to finish first in that 1 race and 27 starts.
So back in New York, giving everyone a little bit of time to adjust here with the scratch of this, obviously starting off the late pick 5, the horse who was favored on the board. The first time starter, the 5, Jackie's a Fox coming out. But at least if you like Daredevil Bull, the 4, the odds have gone the right way for you.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. Daredevil will probably be favored in this race, but keep in mind anybody that played the 5 in the pick 5 and didn't change their tickets, or even if this is, you know, you're closing out the pick 5 or pick 4 here, you end up with a postponed favor, use the 5. Now, right now it's the 4, Daredevil Bull, but it's not impossible that the 8 really psych could end up the favorite, so you need to keep an eye on that as well.
And really psyched her chances. What do you believe here? This is start number 15. And one of her better efforts, a couple back when she was second, that was a really slow figure.
Well, is this a reasonable segue to the next race? And that horse Jonathan singled, and I get why he singled that horse. I picked the horse as well, Sinful Dancer. Sometimes horses that you kind of feel like they're kind of, we call character flaw horses, sometimes they get in fields where they're just so much better than the other horses that it doesn't really matter.
George Weaver, who trained Sinful Dancer, had that finally happen with Boom Boom Kaboom.
Exactly.
It was, what, 0 for 24?
Exactly, right. Winning the last race the other day. Got a little assist from a little interference in the stretch behind her, too. It was a horse making a run that got completely eliminated, and there being a disqualification.
So the 4, the favorite stepping in, Trevor McCarthy aboard, likely, you would think, going to take advantage of the speed she showed last time out on this muddy going. We're set for the late pick 5. John Imbrial, the call.
Waiting now for Torrens Tail, and really psyched. Riders off number 1, Giant Bottle, who's been backed out of the starting gate. Omar Moreno now back aboard. And we are now set for the start. And they're off. Really psyched. Work it out in mid-pack. Alongside is Torrens Tail. Now moving on through is Daredevil Bull, and Daredevil Bull has taken the lead. Work It Out is in between horses, and on the outside is a Torrens Tail. 2.5 lengths back to Really Psyched, who's racing in a fourth. Giant Bottle is down at the rail, and then Beautiful Banks. It is Daredevil Bull who has the lead here. Daredevil Bull by 3/4 of a length. Work It Out runs in second. Torrens Tail is next in third. The opening quarter over the muddy strip in 23 seconds, and it is Daredevil Bull who now gets clear to lead by 1.5 lengths. Torrens Tail in second. Really Psyched begins to pick it up now on the extreme outside. Work It Out is now back running in fourth. Farther back, Beautiful Banks and Giant Bottle. The field comes into the stretch with Daredevil Bull on top. Torrens Tail runs in second, and on the outside it is Really Psyched. Daredevil Bull has opened up here. Daredevil Bull now has a 5-length lead. Really Psyched has moved into second, but no threat to Daredevil Bull. And she breaks her maiden here under Trevor McCarthy. Really Psyched was second, then Torrens Tail, and farther back, Work It Out.
Speed kills here in the race to kick off this late pick 5, and Daredevil Bull, gate to wire.
Yep, just sort of put them all away, and as you say, made them all get a little brave behind her, and they just couldn't. Really Psyched made her run. She will be around to fight another day, and she picks up second money of $7,000, so it's not so bad. Maybe Really Psyched's better off continuing to finish second sometimes in these races, but Daredevil Bull gets it done off the claim for Jeffrey Englehart, who has had a remarkable winter. And now it's spring, off the claim at Aqueduct.
Wins as a 6-5 favorite. And as for your runner-up, Really Psyched has actually made a pretty good career of being a runner-up. Doubled up what she went for at auction.
You pay a lot of bills running second and getting $7,000. You know, talking about trainers that have big runs off the claim, I was looking up some stats. One of the trainers I think may have the best record off the claim on dirt, even though we sometimes think he wins more on the turf, Tom Morley. Do you know over the last year, he is 7 for 20 off the claim on the dirt? And it pains me to compliment Maggie's husband. It's truly painful to me to compliment Tom. But no, I mean, I was looking up stats yesterday. I knew he had good numbers. I didn't realize how outstanding they are, especially on the turf.
Daredevil Bull, Trevor McCarthy, aggressive. He's got 2 wins on today's card. He tried to chase his brother-in-law all winter meet long at Aqueduct to no avail. Wind up second behind Dylan Davis. Still had a tremendous meet.
They're dead heating so far in the first 5 races today.
Yes, they are. 2 each. 4, 8, 7, 6 as we return to Hot Springs. Race 4 coming up, where the sun is shining as we take a look at Wicked Street in this 6 furlong sprint.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Wicked Street can do. I mean, the pace projector has this horse as fast as the 5 early. The 5 looks a little faster to me, right? But maybe Arietta senses that and is going to come out with some urgency, right? He's sort of got to, right?
And that was that last drill and intention that they want speed out of this horse, bullet move?
Maybe they knew they were going to draw the rail. Actually, March 28th, they drew this card, no, they didn't draw this card until Monday or Tuesday. Monday.
Well, it was a 47-2 move, quickest to 30 in the morning, going 4 furlongs for Wicked Street, and being that she is inside, and she has some speed, she's got to use it.
I think she's a threat.
Well, let's bring in Jonathan. JK, your thoughts here in this 4th from Oaklawn.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got to talk about the favorite who's taking all the money. I feel like this is one of those that you can kind of trust. Drawn outside, should improve off of the last effort. Was wide late in that last race. I'd prefer maybe to show a little bit more speed, but maybe second time in the barn we'll see more speed.
You know, I said, Jonathan, you trust a 1 for 28, and Greg did correct me and say she's 1 for 27. Give her a couple minutes.
They're all a little tough to trust. This being a non-winners at 2 lifetime. We'll see how it plays out. Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Wicked Street broke very well. So did Miss Rita. Very spicy's between horses. Then comes Italian Twin and Flashy Biz, and the early trailer is Fortuna Aduvat. Up the backstretch with Miss Rita. Italian Twin between horses and Wicked Street at the rail, and they are right across the racetrack. They have sprinted 2.5 clear of Very Spicy. Another 2 lengths to Flashy Biz. She's 5th and about 4 from the front, and then 3 lengths last to Fortuna Aduvat Wicked Street with a neck in front. It is Wicked Street to ride the rail around the far turn, now a full length in front of Italian Twin and Miss Rita. Then comes Very Spicy at the rail. Flashy Biz is beginning to unwind, and here's Flashy Biz within 2.5 of the front, and Fortuna Atuvat is the trailer, and the leader is Wicked Street. Wicked Street off the top of the turn, still that 1.5 length lead over Very Spicy, but now Flashy Biz is on the move. And here's Flashy Biz in the center of the racetrack, Very Spicy's between horses, and we have a new leader. It is Flashy Biz, and now she's in front by a length. Wicked Street, Very Spicy, and Fortuna Atuvat chase her home, but Flashy Biz is clear, and she's got it. Flashy Biz to the wire to win. Flashy Biz won by 3.5. Wicked Street was second. Fortuna Aduvat third, and Very Spicy finished fourth.
2 for 28 now, a reliable 2 for 28 in JK's eyes. Flashy Biz the win.
He nailed it. She was 9-5. I don't know if she dropped down after we saw her, but last we saw her, she was 9-5, and he was right. She had 3-2. She galloped. She was the best horse on paper. It's just tough to bet horses at 1 for 27.
She put in a big move like
prices.
this last time, and she does it again. This time, it results in the win.
Yeah, well, actually, the pace got a little bit more contentious than we expected. One of those races where nobody looked like the speed on paper, so everybody went.
Diodoro, David Cohen, connections you can usually trust, especially in this circuit, with a 6-year-old mare who is now 2 for 28, but it looks like she found a field very much to her liking here.
Yeah, right. When we saw the last race, that horse was a new horse in 2 starts, and this one is improved for Diodoro. I don't imagine the horse got claimed, but you never know at Oaklawn where they claim just about everything.
Yeah, that claim box gets a lot of action in Hot Springs. So Flashy Biz, she has turned a corner her last couple of starts, moving to the Diodoro barn. We're going to take a timeout. We'll have these prices when we return. Going to look back at the Arkansas Derby win from Cyberknife. Big performance. It's landed this Brad Cox runner in the starting gate the first Saturday in May. We'll be back.
Introducing a stallion as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
Run Happy was a #1 second prop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual future pool favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. It was a busy day on the road to the Triple Crown yesterday, and we brought you the Arkansas Derby coverage here on the program. Brad Cox went from having nobody in the Derby, and all of a sudden now he's going to have 3 horses.
Tough to keep guys like Brad Cox down coming off those 2 Eclipse Awards, and he's got good horses. He does a good job with them, and I also thought yesterday, in a lot of ways, especially at Oaklawn, it belonged to Florent Geroux because he didn't give just one good ride. He gave 2 absolutely perfect rides. You have to be on the right horses to win those races, but he rode those right horses the right way, and that's why he won both the Fantasy and the Arkansas Derby.
And we're going to show you that difference-making move on Cyberknife in the Arkansas Derby right now. Cyberknife, his only prior stakes race, he disappointed. He did not disappoint Saturday.
Yeah, now Secret Oath, you can say she got a little bump after the start. She doesn't have any speed. I don't think the rider did anything wrong at this point. He made a mistake, though, in the backstretch, allowing the 3 to push her out even wider. In this case, Cyberknife was trying to go to the lead, but when 3 went inside, I think he only expected 1, Florent adjusted. He took back, he got over towards the inside, and he saved ground. Now, at this point, Secret Oath is back in second to last, but she ends up allowing the 3 to get better position. But at this point, the pace starts slowing down, and 2 things happen. Florent makes the winning move when he says, it's slowing down, I got to get forward. And Contreras made the opposite move on Secret Oath. It was slowing down, and he lost position. Now, part of it was that he put her in a bad spot between horses and wide to begin with. But if he hadn't done all of those things, I don't know if she would have won, but she certainly wouldn't have had to make this huge brush to get close again.
And you see it. I mean, it's an eye-popping move there from the 6, the Philly Secret Oath. And, you know, you look at that move from Florent on Cyberknife, and it was a gamble. Did he move too early? Turned out not to be.
If he lost, he was going to get blamed for it in a lot of ways. Said, why did he do that? But he is a very good rider for a reason, and he used his judgment, and he made a call, and hopefully, and this goes to people like me who have been known to blame jockeys. I know you're a little surprised to hear that sometimes you make decisions, and they're the wrong decisions. But in this case, he took a gamble. He could have looked bad. He looked good. He made the perfect decision. And when he was making that decision, and I don't want to beat up on Luis Contreras, but he made the wrong decision. He lost position with his filly when you needed to be getting position. And part of it was because he was in bad position to begin with. Whereas Florent put his horse into good position, so when the opportunity arose, he could take advantage of it.
So horse 2, Cyberknife, that had unseated Florent in the post parade, looked a lot more composed during the running of the race. And, of course, Brad Cox, he would love a legitimate Kentucky Derby win and actually be able to put that blanket of roses over his horse in a win. He got awarded last year's Kentucky Derby, February of this year, with Mandaloon because of that disqualification of Medina Spirit and trainer Bob Baffert. Big performance. Real quick, going forward, I know we're moving on, but a horse you think is a legitimate contender for the Derby?
No. I'd like him to be. I feel like from what we've seen so far, I'm waiting for somebody to run better than Epicenter from the last week. I'm not saying he's going to win the Derby, but so far he's the best horse going to the Derby from what we've seen. Big preps next week. I still think the Arkansas Derby wasn't that strong a race overall. From what I've seen of the race in Arkansas this winter, unlike so many other winners, I thought they might have been a little subpar. I hope I'm wrong. I know the connections of Cyberknife. I'd love to see them do well. I'm just not sure he's quite good enough.
Meanwhile, Grade 1 Florida Derby. And Safi Joseph, he's had a tremendous Gulfstream meet, and this is a great way to cap it off. White Abario in perfect position for this race.
No, he got a great trip and a great ride in this race. And he just, there was an aggressive pace. Both he and Chanson, who finished first and second, got good positions sitting behind the pace. White Abario, a much more professional runner. He made that move to the front. Chanson, as you can see, a little bit of the drunken sailor act. He's a big horse figuring himself out.
He's intriguing.
He is intriguing. The question is how strong you think this was. Now, there's some argument that this figure, the Beyer figure of 96, closer to what they think it was. I don't trust the race in Florida. I'm not sure how strong these horses are going forward. We'll see.
Meanwhile, on synthetic at Turfway Park, the Jeff Ruby Stakes, and 2 horses finished 1-2 were, I know Tiz the Bomb broke his maiden on dirt at Ellis, but are unproven on dirt.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't really dirt horses. And listen, Animal Kingdom won out of this race. And people are always going to remind you that, and that's a very fair thing. Animal Kingdom was an extremely rare horse that was able to run well on every single surface. The reality of Tiz the Bomb is he's probably better on turf. He's picking up a lot of big purses, no shame in that. Ken McPeak could be pointing him to any race on the planet. In fact, if they're going to have racing on Jupiter, now there may be life there. I'm sure Kenny will be exploring his options there as well. He's already won the first leg of the prestigious Triple Crown, which could follow the English Guineas and the Epsom Derby.
Take a look at the points leaderboard there, and the horse that is on top, and it usually does not mean a lot, but that's the horse I think a lot of people feel right now is the horse to beat.
Well, I mean, he ran a huge race last time. He showed he could rate. I'm not, he got a very good trip in there, but a horse with speed that doesn't need the lead to win can definitely be dangerous. But listen, you've got the Wood, the Bluegrass, and the Santa Anita, and it would be ridiculous to suggest you're not going to see a major contender out of that race.
That's what remains. Next week, obviously, a big one here in New York with the Wood Memorial, Morello for Steve Asmussen, who has Epicenter as well, and, of course, early voting.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we're excited the Wood. We're homers. We're here at Aqueduct, but there is a real threesome in there. Smile Happy and Zandon and the Bluegrass as well. And Forbidden Kingdom and Santa Anita, I mean, who knows? He could be freakishly good.
This, the horse to beat, coming up in a race that starts the pick 4, 8-5 on Sinful Dancer, making an equipment change. He's disappointed, though, in his first 5 starts with 3 runner-up finishes. We'll be back.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin, is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you in part by champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting, did it all while racing medication-free. Got the 6th here in New York up next. New York bred maiden special weight. It's a 1-turn mile, and that horse right there. What do you do with Sinful Dancer? He's the horse to beat, but he should have won last time, shouldn't he?
Well, no, he couldn't have won. I mean, the horse that won that race won by 20. I mean, he looks like a wildebeest. Same connections as Morello.
American
but
Revolution
he should have run
before
better,
that.
right? I mean, he is. I agree with Jonathan. I think he's probably going to win today, but he's an impossible horse to trust.
He was beat less than 2 lengths to a horse who became a Grade 1 winner.
Right.
2 starts back for Todd Pletcher.
And Water's Edge was second as a stakes winner,
Yeah.
so it's not just him.
We start with Feathers Road. For Linda Rice, Trevor McCarthy looking for number 3.
I wonder if this horse is better with more distance. I think not, and probably wants to get back on the turf, which hopefully he can soon.
Go Lime, the 3 for a man who pulled off a big upset yesterday in the feature, Uriah St. Louis.
This rider who got the money, so we'll see, but needs to improve.
And Dexter Haddock in town. He was aboard that victory, as Andy mentioned. Here's Sinful Dancer. He is dropping in class. That was an open maiden race last start.
He's a war dancer, so you would think that he could get the distance, but I'm more concerned about the distance than anything else.
Mr. Breadwinner, start number 2, and the blinkers go on.
He's my backup in here. He did not run well first time. I imagine those connections wish they had gotten a fast track.
Chapel Road, Manny Franco, Christophe Clement.
I'm going to make myself look foolish and say I don't like this horse at all in this race. A homebred that did no running first time out, good luck. A 3-year-old, I don't want this horse.
Grand Dam was a Grade 1 winner. Listening in a first-timer on the outside, Dam was unraced.
Yeah, not much money for this one. There's really, I mean, she was unraced, and the foals she had weren't runners.
So that's your field to kick off this pick 4. 1 turn mile ahead on this muddy, sealed racetrack. You can play all the action with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com, download the app, and that's the offer to take advantage of. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Stakes 200. There it is, that code to punch in for new members at sign up. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime. So Sinful Dancer getting a mile for the first time, and you would think he's going to be in front. Hopefully he can get some separation, and with those blinkers coming off, just relax on the front end.
And a lot of that's going to depend on what Mr. Breadwinner does in here, right? If he doesn't, I mean, I agree with you. I would think that what Eric wants to do is get a little separation because he doesn't seem to be a horse you want to get brave. I mean, this is the American Revolution race. He didn't just run third in this race. He was favored over American Revolution, who probably should have beaten Mandaloon in his debut. He was making his first start since his Keeneland debut the previous fall. I mean, Water's Edge, who would run fast races coming into this, he was out for a while. He wasn't winning last time. The figure of 49, I don't buy it. I think that figure is too low. Scherzando finished third, came back and ran 12 buyer points higher. Now, obviously, the 61 isn't very good either. It's not as good as prior numbers, but it's still probably better than the horses in this race in general, except for Feathers Road Run. I don't know what to do. Disco Pharaoh is apparently running on Saturday in a non-winners of 1. He's a horse you can't wait to see him run again. The horse who beat him last time.
Let's beat him by 19.5. Let's head down to Mig for more.
Yeah, kind of an interesting group. Nice-looking New York-bred colts here. And just kind of a tale of equipment changes. The 4 Sinful Dancer taking the blinkers off. Spoke to George Weaver's assistant, Blair. He had a very short blinker cup to begin with, but they just felt like he was a little bit too keen last time, being fresh off the layoff. And they just would like to see him settle more. They don't want him to show as much speed or run through the bridle as much. So they took the blinkers off completely. Could not look better physically in the flesh. The 5 Mr. Breadwinner adds blinkers. Talking to Horatio DePaz, just kind of felt like he wanted him to get into the bridle a little bit more. When he works in the morning, he works in the bit, and those have been his best works. So just trying to get a little bit more focus out of him. He did mention that he would have preferred a fast track, but the horse could not look better. Ultimately, he'll be my top selection. I like what I'm seeing from him, and looked like he really got over this racetrack well while he's galloping over to the gate. And the 6 Chapel Road also adds blinkers. Talked to Christophe Clement's assistant, and he said that he just wasn't very focused first time, and he's had 2 subsequent works with the blinkers on, with Manny Franco aboard, and he really worked much better with blinkers on. That was Chapel Road. So I just think a lot of equipment changes, a lot of things to take into consideration, and I'm curious to see Jonathan Kinchin. Is that something that you kind of take into account while you're handicapping?
Yeah, I mean, you always try to pay attention to blinkers. I think sometimes you can get a little carried away of the trainer's intent when it comes to them. I think a lot of people just think, oh, put them on, show speed. Take them off, no speed. I think a lot of times, especially on the grass, there could just be a focus angle that comes with it, or maybe a maturity angle. As far as Sinful Dancer, the 4 is concerned, I understand this horse is 0 for 5 as a maiden, which is, I don't think that's too many, especially with some races kind of with built-in excuses. He ran well his first 2 starts. Then he tried the turf. That didn't go great. Then he ran well against running into American Revolution, running a fast number, and then got a little bit of a break and comes back and runs into a monster. This is a horse I feel like if you look at his past performances, you look at his pace figures and his final figures, he feels like a horse that will handle the stretch out. And I also like horses that you feel like can handle the stretch out, that are tactical enough to put themselves in position early, and he feels like that type of horse. I think today is the day that he gets his picture taken, and he's going to be 1 for 6 instead of 0 for 5.
I wonder if we can get Jonathan back on. I want to ask him a question, because Richie alluded to the idea that the connections would like him to relax, and that's why they're taking the blinkers off. Are you more or less comfortable thinking about him not potentially being the main speed in here?
Well, I think that's a tricky question, right? Because relax doesn't necessarily mean not be on the lead. I just think relax means not fighting Eric Cancel, listening to the rider's cues when it comes to showing that speed. I think this horse is, if you look at the pace figures, especially the last 2 races, this horse has to make the lead unless, obviously, the 5 with Kendrick is aggressively ridden.
I agree with you, Jonathan. The problem is Eric Cancel would rate Seattle Slew in a match race, and if they're taking the blinkers off and they say that, they're sending a signal that they may not be in front. And I'm concerned if this horse isn't in front, especially trying to get a mile. And
I just want him to be close. If he's sitting off and comfortable, I'm fine with that. But you know me, I'd prefer them be on the lead. As long as he's still close and connected, I'm okay with that.
Because of his great ability to pass horses in the past?
There he is, 8 to 5. Didn't catch that.
I think he said something bad about you, Greg, but I don't want to repeat it. I'm just going to keep it
This
quiet.
should be the day, you would think, for Sinful Dancer. 8 to 5 favorite. Start the late pick 4. Let's go upstairs. John Imperial, the call.
Waiting for Chapel Road and listening in. Set for the start of race 6. And they're off. Chapel Road listening in. Mr. Breadwinner is there, along with Sinful Dancer up the chute. Mr. Breadwinner goes on with it to take the lead. Chapel Road and Sinful Dancer are right together, second and third. Then a break of 3 to Feathers Road, who's down at the rail alongside his Go Lime. And after a good start, listening in has dropped well behind the field. Mr. Breadwinner takes the field up the backstretch after a quarter in 23 seconds. Sinful Dancer second by a head with Chapel Road on the outside. Then it's the duo of Feathers Road and Go Lime, and the big break, very big break, back to listening in, who's in 6th. Up front it is Mr. Breadwinner leading by 2 lengths. Chapel Road runs second. It is Mr. Breadwinner after a half and 46 1/5 seconds. Chapel Road running in second. Sinful Dancer is down at the rail in third and beginning to gain some ground. And then comes Feathers Road in 4th, midway around the far turn. It is still Mr. Breadwinner who has the lead. Sinful Dancer has moved into second. Chapel Road drops back, passed on the outside there by Feathers Road. They are coming for the quarter pole with Mr. Breadwinner trying to go wire to wire here. It is Mr. Breadwinner in front by 4. Sinful Dancer running in second. Feathers Road is on the outside in third. Mr. Breadwinner is the leader with 1/8 of a mile to the finish. Feathers Road now moves up on the outside into second. It is Mr. Breadwinner with a 3-length lead. Feathers Road is in second. Mr. Breadwinner, wire to wire. Feathers Road was second, and Sinful Dancer finished third.
Mr. Breadwinner, aggressive, and it pays off here in the 6th.
Kendrick had real intention to start. And to be fair, Sinful Dancer wasn't getting the lead from this horse because they went quick, and Kendrick wanted to be in front, and he was able to control the race. But I'll tell you something, Sinful Dancer was never winning in a mile without the lead. The idea of rating him was a foolish one, and he probably doesn't want to go a mile anyway. And he also doesn't seem to be the horse. I know it's a wet track, so you got to give him a little break. But I also just think he might just not be the horse he was to begin his career.
Yeah, had that long time off from June to March until he came back, but not the effort many were expecting here. As 7-2, Mr. Breadwinner takes that move forward here in start number 2, and especially on wet tracks too, when you can open up and get a lead and an advantage like this, you see here that you can really maintain that advantage sometimes. The only horse making up any ground was Feathers Road.
Well, I mean, this is one of those races, and I almost wish Richie was here for this, and I don't know if we could bring him in on this, but, that Richie talks about. bottoming the field out, making everybody have to run to try to keep up with you, using your horse's speed as a weapon. And I know this is the kind of ride that the MIG just loves.
Kendrick Carmouche, he was third in the standings at the winter meet, still looking for that first New York riding title of his career. Came awfully, awfully close last year. He's having a really good start to this Aqueduct Spring. As we head back over to Hot Springs, race 5 is up next here. This is a mile and 16, 30,000 starter allowance. 4 to 5, guess who? Steve Asmussen and Joel Rosario.
Well, on paper.
Oh, they have Cabrera, excuse me.
Oh, maybe Joel didn't make it back in time. That Joel. I don't think you're losing anything, David Cabrera. This horse overlays the field based on the last 2 races by so much, I'm surprised you're getting 4 to 5.
From Morrow, another Steve Asmussen runner.
You think she's related to Frau Blucher?
Could be. 3 wins, 7 seconds from 31 starts. Here's Chisholm Trail.
Yeah, Chisholm Trail did break the maiden last time out, but against inferior horses.
A 4-horse at 8 to 1. Uncle Mo's Cat has won 2 in a row.
He has improved, but he improved for Wayne Potts. He's now in a new barn.
8 to 1 there. JVB. This horse has faced some pretty tough company of late.
I will agree that this is the chief competition to Eastside Cool on paper. The problem is Eastside Cool is the controlling speed, and this one has none.
Mr. Thunderstruck we'll see next at 17 to 1 for Kelly Von Hemel.
Stretching out for Kelly Von Hemel for this start. Should be forwardly placed.
And a horse coming off a maiden win for Thomas Vance, Summer in Malibu last time out, and earned the best figure of his career doing it.
And to be fair, the figure was pretty good. And with Chelsea Bailey, you have to imagine this one will be the one that's aggressive.
Yeah, surprised at 11 to 1 last time out. Today, 5 to 1 is actually the third choice on the board. But that's the horse they got to beat. Eastside Cool. It's David Cabrera filling in for Joel Rosario with more on that story. Let's go to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, apparently there's something going on at Little Rock Airport where Joel was not able to catch his flight. Had the same problem tonight. It was meant to fly to New Orleans. Couldn't do that. So a number of flights, all of the flights have been canceled. I spoke to Rick Hammerly, and supposedly there was some sort of silver flash that was messing up all the electronics. So, yeah, Joel couldn't make it. I messed up my opener. That was Santana that won the third race today, our first race on our card for Steve Asmussen. And like Eastside Cool here as well as Cabrera climbs aboard. This horse was a great claim. Steve Asmussen picked him up for $30,000, claimed him, came back, won a $106,000 allowance race. Unfortunately, he was disqualified in that race. On paper, he is much, much the best. I don't know how they're going to outrun this horse, but things here in Hot Springs at Oakland Park do happen during races. So I guess you got to give Summer in Malibu a little look on the outside. Broke maiden special weight for Tommy Vance. Really improved last time out for Chelsea Bailey, the apprentice, who's having a great meet. And then maybe a look at Uncle Mo's Cat. He's going to have to really improve to run anywhere close to what Eastside Cool has been running. But, hey, like I said, anything can happen in a horse race, guys.
So thank you for that update, Gary. So David Cabrera leading rider at the meet. Pretty good fill-in here for Rosario on the 3 to 5 favorite. Horse was DQ'd out of a win last time out. Did cross the wire first, though, each of the last 2. And seems to be in career form right now.
Nice break for both the Asmussen barn and for David Cabrera that he happened to be open to ride this 3 to 5 shot in the race.
Yeah, Joel's not here. How about the leading rider instead?
Right. That's sort of when you know everything's going right for you and you're David Cabrera, because frankly, he shouldn't be open in any race this meet. Somebody should want him to ride in every single race here. He's riding as well as anybody, and it's not even close. So he's open. He gets the mount.
He is sort of running away with a riding title. I know we got a long way to go.
No, it's not that long because, they're running through what? I think there's another 5 weeks of racing. But don't forget, most of them are 3-day weeks. So there's only about 16 more days of racing left to go. And what is he in front by? About 16 or somewhere in that range of wins. That's hard to pick up 1 win a day on a guy, Because I think other than Arrieta, there's really nobody else that'll be there the whole time to do it. Is Arrieta really going to win? Arrieta may not win as many races he's won already. I hope he does, but Cabrera's in a controlling position.
Career meet for that man. And now he's getting a preferred mount here because Joel Rosario had some flight problems. So In terms of price here, though, 3 to 5 on this horse. Obviously, that last start, even though he got DQ'd out of a win, biggest figure he's ever earned. If he can repeat that, he's going to be real tough.
It's not even close. I'm not betting against him. I don't have anybody I like against him. I do agree with the public that the 5 is the second likeliest winner of the race, but I just feel like he's so pace compromised. He's got to hope that the 1 regresses, which he could. He's second off a claim, off a win. Maybe he does regress, but he's going to have to regress. But also, from a race dynamics, he just figures to have so much more in his favor. Now, 3 to 5 to 7 to 2 is a big odds gap. So if you think it's closer than that, maybe you do want to bet on the number 5, JVB. He's certainly not impossible, but he is 1 for 18 with 8 seconds. Yeah. That's a problem.
Maybe the upside horse is that outside runner. He's coming off a maiden win. You look who he's faced, too. He faced We the People, who was so highly regarded until yesterday. I mean, he's still a very nice horse.
No, he's not a bad horse because he ran last in there. No, right.
But they were talk about him was he could be any kind of horse. But didn't run terrible against We the People. He faced Dash Attack, who briefly was on the Triple Crown Trail for Kenny McPeak.
Yeah. I'm sure Kenny had him penciled in for all kinds of great races at one point. No, I agree. And the other thing about him is he's supposed to be forwardly placed, right? So maybe you're better off betting a horse like that, as you say. He could have some upside. He improved last time stretching out. He can be forwardly placed. The other problem with him, though, for him to win the race, he's got to go after the favorite, put that one away, and in doing that, will he have enough left to hold off any closers? These are all questions you ask yourself in handicapping, right? I mean, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, for me, one of the most fun things about handicapping is trying to figure out how the race is going to be run and how the horses have to run to win.
I wanted to go back briefly because we didn't bring it up. I didn't have an opportunity because I couldn't speak with my throat.
You've been a true. You have been unbelievable this weekend under the circumstances.
I don't know about that.
Greg.
I've been doing
yes,
my best. Arkansas Derby, the New York bred Unoho. Jay Pridman tweeted out he actually hit the rail a couple of times. He was actually making a move on the fence. He was getting a good trip, but ran into the fence, and they actually had to staple his shoulder together. And you see this dramatic move backwards out of the pack because of that impact. So he had a legitimate excuse.
Oh, yeah. I mean, whatever happened in there, he was given no chance because of that. Whether or not he was going to make a run the way Barber Road did at the end, you'll just never know. Can always hope. The Connection's obviously want to get in the Derby, and I get it. It's a dream to get to the Derby.
Still hopeful he can get there.
Maybe it'll be better off for them if they can't. And, I'm just looking forward to seeing him in the Albany in Saratoga, Greg.
No, he might have bigger plans than that.
I'm sure he does. You know what happens to best laid plans. He's a cool horse. I mean, he's an impossible horse not to like. He wasn't a registered New York bred, but he is now a registered New York bred.
75-1 upset winner of that Rebel. And, yeah, he was starting to pick off some horses before that trouble began. Loading up, there's the 3 to 5 fit, 1 to 2 now on East Side Cool. David Cabrera for Steve Asmussen. And trying to cross the wire for the third straight time, even though he got DQ'd out of that win last time out. But he looks tough in this spot. 5th from Oaklawn starts the late pick 5. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
To load, Summer in Malibu. They're at the post. They're off. East Side Cool breaks beautifully, goes for the front from Uncle Moe's Cat and JVB. Mr. Thunderstruck is next. Summer in Malibu could be wide at the clubhouse turn. Then comes Frau Morrow, and the trailer is Chisholm Trail. It is Uncle Moe's Cat who takes the lead to the backstretch. Summer in Malibu is in the 3-path, but he's in the clear, and he races up third outside of East Side Cool. Then comes JVB. He's the gray, 4th at the rail and 2.5 from the front, and a length in front of Mr. Thunderstruck. Frau Morrow is second to last with 5 lengths to make up, and he's a length and a half in front of the trailer Chisholm Trail as they run up the backstretch, and the leader is Uncle Moe's Cat. Uncle Moe's Cat, a half length in front of East Side Cool, who now comes to put some more pressure on him. And now these two sprint along, Uncle Moe's Cat and East Side Cool. They've opened up 4 lengths on Summer in Malibu. Then comes JVB, 2 back to Mr. Thunderstruck. Another 2 to Frau Morrow. Chisholm Trail has trailed throughout. We have a new leader. It's East Side Cool. East Side Cool, a neck in front of Uncle Moe's Cat. Now 2.5 lengths to Summer in Malibu, who's moving up for Chelsea Bay. Bailey, and here's the 3-year-old. Summer in Malibu within 2.5 of the front. Then JVB and Mr. Thunderstruck. East Side Cool gets away at the top of the stretch. He's built up a 3-length lead on Summer in Malibu. At the rail, JVB, and to the outside, Mr. Thunderstruck. East Side Cool. A final furlong to get. David Cabrera just looked back and sees that he's got 4 lengths to work with. Summer in Malibu is second. Mr. Thunderstruck is third, but it's East Side Cool, just too good. East Side Cool in front. East Side Cool won by 5.5. Summer in Malibu was second. Mr. Thunderstruck third. JVB finished fourth.
That's the kind of performance you like to see when you are odds on. East Side Cool with the 4th victory of his career.
And he legitimately took some real pressure. I mean, they were moving a bit up front when, surprisingly, Uncle Mo's cat and Giovanni Franco went after him. Can't knock Giovanni for being aggressive and trying to do that. Didn't work out in this case. He put the pressure on East Side Cool. What was the scenario that he wasn't going to win?
Dominant. Absolutely dominant here. Son of Frosted for Steve Asmussen. David Cabrera filling in, and no contest here. He's just too good for this group. Favorite at odds on. Kicks off this late pick 5 here at Oaklawn Park. We'll have the prices for you when we come back. Still to come, part of that pick 5 sequence. Lone Rock, he was nearly unbeatable at 1.5 miles or beyond last year. He's getting back to 1.5 miles in the Temperance Hill in the feature later today.
Florida Derby's always been a key stallion-making race. Constitution, Scat Daddy, Quality Road.
The 2017 Florida Derby to Always Dreaming.
I see a lot of similarities in Constitution and Always Dreaming. They're a little more angular, aerodynamic, and athletic than some of the other stallions by those sire lines. Always Dreaming offers that athleticism, and I think he can reproduce that into his babies, and you'll see some good 2-year-old performances from them.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS1. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Easy time of things for East Side Cool to kick off the late pick 5 as he notches another victory for Steve Asmussen with David Cabrera in the irons.
This horse was just so much the best, and that is winning like a 1-2 shot should. Put pressure on him early, ran some legitimate fractions. This horse has really turned it around.
Big performance here. One more look down the stretch. 3 consecutive races. He has crossed the wire first. This is probably the most impressive of those 3.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, this was a rocking chair win, and not doing it under the most ideal of circumstances. It's not like he was allowed to just waltz along on the front end, and it looked like he was stronger going through the wire than he was at any point during the race. This horse is improving.
This kind of performance, I mean,
we'll see him.
Makes you wonder what he's going to be in next.
Well, we'll see him, I imagine, at Churchill, wouldn't you think, going forward? I mean, after races like that, claimed him for 30. It's a starter. I think he's got all of his conditions. I imagine his wins have been starters. I'm looking the last two. Yeah, so this is as eligible for numbers of one. You know, I don't know. I mean, at some point, maybe he tries him in a race like that.
I like him next time out.
We'll see. We'll probably see him.
Pick 4 next at Oaklawn. We'll set that up when we come back. And we got the 7th up next here in New York. That's the 4-5 favorite, Grudge. Rob Atras, Kendrick Carmouche. They will team up with his 5-year-old daughter, a Palace Malice. When we return, stay with us.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Makoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
It is Makoma, the one to catch. Makoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 corner. Inside Makoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Makoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS1. I want to remind everyone, get these tickets early while they're still around. Capping attendance for the Belmont Stakes at 50,000 this year. As Andy tells you all the time, it will sell out. Test of the Champion, 3rd and final leg of the Triple Crown, Saturday, June 11th.
Yeah, we've sold out on numerous occasions for 90,000 people. We're selling out for 50. And it's just such a great day of racing anyway. You don't, whether you have seats or not, get general admission. Just be there. Don't miss Belmont Stakes Day. It's really the mid-year Breeders' Cup, and so many of us get disappointed the Breeders' Cup isn't in New York. Well, you've got one that you know is going to be in warm weather, and you know you might have a Triple Crown hopeful, and if you don't, you still got a plethora of Grade 1. I mean, that's such a great weekend.
And arguably, that was the most exciting stretch stool we had all year last year.
That Belmont, I mean, you and I watched it together, was such a highlight of, I mean, there's a lot of great things happen, but I can't think of one that was more exciting than
Essential Quality, Hot Rod Charlie going toe-to-toe down the stretch. Back here in New York, 7th at Aqueduct is a New York bred $25,000 claiming sprint. 6 furlongs. As you see the 1 and 2 come out with those scratches, what do you make of Grudge, the 4 at 4-5?
I picked Grudge. Does have 2 aluminum pads on. I'm interested to see if Richie has any comments. If there was ever a horse that's supposed to be loose in the lead, though, it's Grudge. And I know if the MIG was riding her, I know she'd be in front.
Well, let's hear from the MIG as we head downstairs now.
Yeah, I was never bashful about using a horse's natural speed. They have got to run where I've already been when you're on a speed horse. Grudge looks good. I do worry, about bar shoes in this kind of, on this kind of track, just getting traction. You want a horse not to slide. Lighter frame filly should kind of bounce over the top of the track. It's something I am going to keep an eye on as we go forward in the warm-up. But here in the paddock, she's fine. Diva Banker making a real nice impression. This horse claimed for $5,000 last spring, and had had great success against New York breds. She looks fantastic, and I think she's going to be close to the pace, too. She looks very, very sharp here in the paddock. 6 Prairie Fire making a nice impression. If things do happen to heat up on the front end and Grudge and Diva Banker maybe mix it up a bit, I think she'd be the one to benefit the most. Kind of a closing kick, but just carrying good weight. Got a real good coat on her as well. And just getting quickly, because I know Jonathan Kinchin loves when I talk about this, the 3, Mosienko, named for Bill Mosienko, the hockey player for the Chicago Blackhawks that scored 3 goals, a hat trick against the Rangers in about 45 seconds. Still the record for the fastest hat trick in NHL history. And by hat trick, very cleverly named Mosienko.
Mig, I think, wanted to be a hockey player. In an alternate universe, he would be.
I think he actually is a hockey player in an alternate universe. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't want Mig smaller. He may be smaller, but he's tough. I wouldn't want him coming down the ice at me.
Yeah, he's made to play that game. 7-1 on Mosienko. Blinker's coming off on this horse. I want to remind everyone you can earn a 20% bonus on your winning exactas Sundays all April long at Santa Anita. To qualify, go to Naira Bets. You got to opt into the promotion, then bet exactas at the Great Race Place. If your ticket hits, you'll earn that 20% bonus. Go to NairaBets.com for all the promotion details. 3-5 now on the 4 Grudge as we see riders getting a leg up.
This seems like a bit much. She is the horse to beat, and she's dropping the pads on. I'm not trying to play against her, but I think Prairie Fire is a reasonable alternative, the second choice to her. Claimed by Charlie Baker, she is a filly that at one time was better than these horses. And if Charlie can find a way, and that's what trainers that do well off the claim, as Charlie has in many occasions, to get her back to some of that older form, I think she's a major threat to the favorite.
Late,
here.
she's the 6th. Late in her 4-year-old campaign, she was very good.
Yeah.
She was in New York bred stakes races.
At least she won her last.
Here's Mosienko, the hat trick 5-year-old mare with the blinkers off.
She needs a pace to run at, and when she won 3 back, she got it. I don't know how much speed she's going to get today.
The classic Kendrick Carmouche warm-up on Grudge.
Right, we used to warm the horse up hard. He does with every horse, so there you have it.
Diva Banker, Ray Handel sends this one out.
Probably going to be sitting second to Grudge in this race early.
7-1 right now. And here is Prairie Fire, Charlie Baker, Dylan Davis.
I think this is the biggest threat to the favorite, and the public seems to agree with this horse being second choice. She can be a bit forward. We'll see what kind of trip she gets, and we'll see if she can move up off the claim.
And Gentle Annie coming out of a state-bred A other than allowance.
The problem is she ran inexplicably well for Wayne Potts 2 back, and then in Changing Barn, she didn't run well last time out, and that was also in track with moisture in it. Well, she gets it again today.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back 7th at Aqueduct. Coming up when we return as we approach the 4-minute mark to post. Stay with us.
Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes and added a Grade 1 with turf credentials in the Maker's Mark Mile. From ages 2 to 4, this versatile son of Warfront proved his class at the highest levels. Now his first foals have arrived. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Aqueduct Saturday. Top-ranked 3-year-olds face off in the $750,000 Grade 2 Wood Memorial, presented by Resorts World Casino, New York's premier Kentucky Derby prep race. Watch and play the Wood Memorial Saturday, live on FS2.
Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions, proudly standing the ultra-fast, multiple stakes winning son of Uncle Mo, King for a Day, the only horse to defeat 2019 3-year-old champion Maximum Security.
Well, King for a Day was basically a clone of Uncle Mo. I mean, good speed, the ability to carry it over distance to ground, real professional horse and a really cool horse to train.
Sire maker extraordinaire Uncle Mo, represented in New York by King for a Day. Visit IHDVStallions.com to book your mare today.
You
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS1. Which car's yours, Andy?
The one that's invisible. I have the Wonder Woman of vehicles. Mine's invisible. I had one. A deer hit it.
And now it's the Subway, the good old A train for us. Right. We're getting set for this 7th at Aqueduct coming up. It's 2 minutes to post. Grudge the 4 has been odds on throughout the wagering here. Rob Atras, who congratulations to him, had a great comeback from Maracuja yesterday. The Coaching Club American Oaks winner looked impressive in her return. Let's go to Jonathan Kinchin for more here on the 7th.
Yeah, like I said during the Pick 5 run, the Pick 5 is no longer with us. I like the 5 Diva Banker, especially at a price. It's a horse that has some tactical speed. I thought ran well enough last time with an honest pace. And if you look at the pace figures, the 6 furlong area of her race makes her very competitive in here. She's tactical enough to stay close. She's outside of her main competition, at least her main speed competition. And I like the price that she is on the board. I mean, obviously, Grudge is the type of horse that can win a race like this, but it's just too short of a price for me. So I think the Diva Banker, drawn towards the outside, is the one that interests me the most. But I am curious, Richie, with a horse like Grudge and the way that Kendrick warms them up, can you tell during the warm-up on a sloppy racetrack if a horse is going to handle the surface or not?
Oh, absolutely, particularly when you bust away from the pony and really 2-minute lick away the way Kendrick does on almost all of his mounts. He's a believer in strong warm-ups, as I am, and when you pick up speed like that, you definitely get a feel for if a horse is handling it. You see a lighter frame filly. Tracky's got a tight seal on it. She looked like she was just bouncing over the top, but I don't think she's going to have any issue despite the bar pads on at all. But I agree with you, Jonathan. I think 4 to 5 is just a bit too short a price for me. I'm leaning more towards the outside runners. I thought the 6 Prairie Fire, who looked good in the paddock, just continued to impress me on the track, and as did the 7 Gentle Annie, and I'm sure they'd both like to see some pace up front, but Gentle Annie, another one that really won me over, looked good in the paddock, looked even better on the racetrack.
Hey, thanks, Megan. That was Gentle Annie, the 7. She's not loved in off track though to this point.
Yeah, I imagine the connections were hoping that the rain, which wasn't necessarily going to come, didn't come as strongly as it did, and getting the wet track could affect her, but you never know. She is an outside post. Maybe she can stay out in the clear and stay out of any real kickback, which sometimes can bother them on a wet track.
So cases made legitimately for the 4, 5, and 6.
I'm the only chalk-eating weasel up here. Wow, it's impressive. That's why I'm leaving. I'm going to leave before we find out the 4 loses. I'm going to leave in shame.
Will the favorite get it done here in the 7th? Let's go to John Imbrial for the call.
And they're off. Prairie Fire. Grudge now hustled up, and Grudge has taken the lead. Prairie Fire is right alongside in second. Diva Banker next in third. Down at the rail, Mosienko, and on the outside, Gentle Annie. It's Grudge with the lead here. Grudge by 3/4 of a length. Prairie Fire on the outside, next in second, as Gentle Annie advances on the extreme outside. Gentle Annie up to challenge Prairie Fire and Grudge for the lead, so it's 3 of them across through a quarter in 23-1. Diva Banker is in fourth, and Mosienko is the trailer as they go around the far turn. Grudge down at the rail. Prairie Fire in between horses, and on the outside it is Gentle Annie. It's Prairie Fire and Gentle Annie. Grudge is back running in third. Then Diva Banker and Mosienko, who's looking to rally down at the rail. The half mile in 47 seconds. It is Prairie Fire, Gentle Annie, and Diva Banker is coming on now on the far outside as they come past the 8th pole. Gentle Annie and Diva Banker now is 16th to the finish. It is Gentle Annie and Diva Banker, and the 2 of them will battle it out to the finish, and it will be Gentle Annie at 7-1 with Samuel Camacho Jr.
Good call, Mig. Go figure, a 7-year-old mare who had been 0 for 10 on off tracks coming into this one, gets the victory here in this 7th race. Wow, the 4, 6, and 7 you saw all lined up 3 wide across the racetrack in an early battle in here, and the widest of those 3 finishing the best here. Gentle Annie, Sam Camacho Jr., Natalia Lynch, second off the claim, was taking a slight drop down here in class, and enough in the tank to hold off this 5. Diva Banker for the victory, finally showing that she can handle the off-going in here in her 11th try over a wet surface. Just 4 for 46 lifetime now. Gentle Annie, 7-year-old mare by Freud for Blue Streak Racing, with the victory. And this is going to play big in the multi-race wagers. An even money favorite in the 4 here. Defeated. Grudge had been, for most of the wagering, had actually been odds on, but winds up still a short price and does not finish among your top 4. That's going to do it for us on FS1. Coming up next, MLS action, Portland Timbers and LA Galaxy. You can catch the conclusion of our program over on FS2 with more from Oaklawn and from Aqueduct to come. Good to have you with us here on FS2 on America's Day at the Races. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, 7th in the books in New York. We'll show you what happened in just a moment. Greg Wolf alongside Anthony Stabile. Good to be back with you.
Good to see you, my friend. What's happening? Andy got better looking.
I like that line. Yeah, if you hadn't noticed.
He told me I could use it.
Andy was on FS1, and now we switch over, and here we got the big A. We still have our best races to come.
We do. Yeah, looking forward to that Temperance Hill. We see Lone Rock later on down at Oaklawn Park. Of course, he turned into a different kind of horse. Once he got to those marathon distances, he'll go the 1.5 mile in the Temperance Hill, of course, named after a Belmont Stakes winner. And we got a good allowance race here at the Big A. So, yeah, looking forward to some fun allowance and stakes action today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Lone Rock back doing what he is absolutely best at.
He's excelled at that.
He's got some real competition in that race. That's going to be fun to watch. You can play all the action by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. That offer, the $200 deposit match bonus. Punch in that code for new members, and it is yours. Stakes 200. Go to NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get involved. Back to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where the sun is shining on this Sunday afternoon. Race 6 starts their late pick 4. It's a 6 furlong sprint. $10,000 condition claiming race. 4-year-olds and up who have not won a race since December 2nd, the condition here. And this is Jack's advantage, cutting back in distance.
Yeah, cuts back first off the claim for John Harron. 0 for 5 at Oakland, 0 for 4 at the distance. He gets Chelsea Bailey and the 7 pounds off today.
Replete at 7-1 for Carl Broberg.
Second off the claim for Broberg. This horse made up some ground late to get the show, though, last time. Another one winless in 14 tries down in Hot Springs.
Riverboat Gambler, the ageless John Court for Randy Morse.
Drops out of a couple of starter allowance races into a 10 condition claimer. It's going to have to get a little pace in front of him to help his late run.
6-1 on Carl G with Ramon Vasquez.
This horse has run 4 times at Oaklawn to no real avail, dropping in for the tag today for a barn that's going a little slow this year.
Vasquez, of course, Lone Rock's pilot, coming up later today. Praetorian for Michael Hewitt.
So far, the theme of this race has been a lack of early speed. I don't see Praetorian showing any speed as well. This is first off the claim for Michael Hewitt.
This horse has been claimed each of the last 2 starts. Trap Valley.
Yeah, running against open claimers. That's very important to note. 2 starts back at Hawthorne in the slot. This horse ran well enough to win this race today.
Together again, Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. filling in for Rosario.
Second off the claim, double time he is eligible for the waiver. He got beat just a nose against the 12-5 level, so he actually drops just a smidge for this.
And a horse who could be forward from that outside post, Loverboy.
Yeah, he was claimed from a barn that's having a pretty good beat in Chris Richard. Tom Vance a little bit slow right now, but this horse, one of only a couple in here, Greg, that's shown some speed, and maybe his forward position could help him. He's a big price at 11-1.
2 minutes to post in a race that kicks off the late pick 4 sequence from Oaklawn Park. Let's go to our Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, I said that Steve Asmussen and Joel Rosario were going to be busy today getting their picture taken. Well, I was wrong. There's no Rosario, but so far Steve Asmussen with 2 wins on the card. I think he's going to win another one here. I'm going to try and beat this horse, Storm in Hong Kong, or if he stubs a toe, somebody who could beat him, and that would be the 3-horse for me, Riverboat Gambler. I like that they've got John Court on this horse today. Look, he doesn't need to be on the lead, but he needs to be more involved than what he has been. And Johnny's a guy that he can get a horse involved early. Great gate rider. And I look for him to try and get him away from there, lay a little bit closer. But like I said, I don't see Stormin in Hong Kong getting beat today. Jonathan, what about you? Who you think can possibly upset Stormin in Hong Kong?
Well, I agree with you, G. I think if you're talking about who's going to get their picture taken, and that's what we're solely talking about, I do believe the 7 is where you would probably want to hang your hat. But fortunately, this is a gambling game, and at 4 to 5, not that I say that this horse can't win. I just think that there's possibly some other options. I'm going to go with the 2 Replete. This is a horse that is a claim back for Carl Broberg. Carl Broberg kind of started off the meet a little bit slow, has picked it up since then, and I like those claim backs for a couple of reasons. One, Carl had success with the horse. He understands the horse. He had the horse for quite a few starts, and I think a lot of times what happens is he knows the ins and the outs. And when the horse was taken from him that day for $10,000, he followed the horse through the ranks and then came back and claimed the horse again for $12,500, meaning he wants that horse in his barn. He ran well last time for $8,000, didn't get the job done. He didn't lose him. Now he's back again. I like to do that sometimes, start at the bottom of the past performances and work your way up and try to tell the story of the trainer and the owner and the horse, and sometimes it can put you in a better chance to make a good decision. I will take the 6 to 1 on Replete and hope, just hope, that he can get by the 7, who is going to be hard to get by.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really positive sign with this 2-horse here, Anthony, that Carl Broberg, as J.K. mentioned, reclaimed this horse, and then he ran one of the biggest figures he has at least in a really long time.
I think my biggest issue with Replete is the lack of speed in this race. He's the kind of horse that, you know, it's been a long time between drinks for him taking a win picture. It's been over 15, 16 months. And all of his wins, he only has 3 wins. They've come against conditioned horses. And he's not going to get enough pace help from me. The price is very attractive, right? He's twice his 3 to 1. He's twice the price of his 3 to 1 on the morning line. It's a very attractive price in a race where the favorite, I feel the favorite's vulnerable as well, because if the rest of them are affected by the lack of pace, so is Storm in Hong Kong. Unless, and this has happened plenty of times in the past, Greg. Joel Rosario will look at the PPs. He'll see a race where there's not a lot of speed. And we have a rider change on him today. Okay, I didn't get the right. I only had the scratches. Well, okay. Well, Santana, you know, it's funny. It goes from Rosario to Santana, and Santana might be even more aggressive than Joel would be if he takes a look at the PPs and sees, right, the 1 Jack's Advantage has a bunch of 1s, but they're going long. Loverboy, he's got some speed, but is he really that fast? He might find himself on a lead for the sake of being on the lead. I wouldn't be surprised if Santana gets aggressive with Storm in Hong Kong in here. Maybe that makes him tougher, but on paper, he's as vulnerable as the rest of them. I thought Carl G was a little interesting. Carl G was not far from a decent enough pace last time. And Ramon Vasquez is another guy who's been pretty aggressive down there. Maybe he takes the initiative with Carl G, who's kind of run evenly throughout this winter. Last time cutting back to the 6 furlongs, his first time sprinting in quite a long time. He hadn't sprinted since a turf sprint back in September up at Woodbine on the turf. Maybe he's the one that's forward. I'll tell you what, I wish I had a crystal ball. I'd like to know who's going to be in front when the gate opens. I would take a little shot with them here.
You got to think David Cabrera with Loverboy is going to try and take advantage of the speed that horse has.
I mean,
12 to 1
I don't know
right now.
how fast he really is. I really don't know how fast he is. It's not like I wouldn't stake my life to Loverboy being on the lead in here. I'll put it to you like that.
Well, Storm in Hong Kong, if Santana is extra aggressive and puts this horse forward, kind of takes him out of his game, we'll see how the horse responds to that, because that is not his MO. There he is, the 7 stepping in for Steve Asmussen, looking for his 3rd winner, Asmussen, on today's card. Vic Stauffer, race 6 to start off the pick 4 from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Riverboat Gambler and Stormin' Hong Kong break well. Praetorian is close up, so is Carl G. Then comes Jack's Advantage at the rail with Replete between horses and a 3-wide Loverboy, and the trailer is Trap Valley. 4x3 up the backstretch at the rail. It's Riverboat Gambler just a neck in front from Stormin' Hong Kong 3 deep. Carl G. Even Replete's going to join the battle at the rail, and he's going to make it 5 across the track. Then comes Praetorian, who shuffles back just a bit. Loverboy is 4.5 from the front. Then Trap Valley, and Jack's Advantage has tailed off. They round the far turn. Replete rides the rail through to take a short lead. Carl G is right there. Stormin' Hong Kong has asked for everything he's got, and he is maintaining his position but not moving up yet, and under the whip. Top of the stretch, Carl G strikes the lead. He's just in front of Replete. Now Stormin' Hong Kong is within 1.5 lengths of the lead, but he's really going to have to fly from there. Replete and Carl G and Stormin' Hong Kong. Now he's a length from the front. It is Replete and Carl G. They're shoulder to shoulder. Stormin' Hong Kong going to finish 3rd. Replete, Carl G, Replete, right together, I think. I think it's Carl G. If it is, it's an inch over Replete. Stormin' Hong Kong finished 3rd.
Very tight, so maybe the 4, Carl G, Ramon Vasquez, over the 2, Replete.
That got close. That was really tight at the end. See that bob? That's an interesting bob, Greg, because I thought like you that Carl G got the money, but maybe Jonathan's pick, Replete, put his nose down right when it counted. The mirror's tricky. The wire's tricky on that wire. There have been plenty of times where I thought the outside got the bob, and they hung the number of the inside horse up.
I
This
don't
is
know.
really
I was
close.
just echoing what Vic Stauffer had said. I think it's too tight, but Carl G definitely got a good part of it, but was it at the right point?
Right, you're going to see what I mean here. The 4, 2, 4, where's that wire? If the wire's at the end of the mirror, there's an outside chance Replete got his nose back down. But this is a lot tighter than it appears. Because at first glance, you think Carl G just put his head down and won the bob. That was my initial reaction.
Battle to the finish. Going to wait for the photo here. Ramon Vasquez on the 4, Carl G. Inside, Raylu Gutierrez on Replete, and being told the inquiry sign has just been posted unofficially. The 2 put up as your winner.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me as much as you'd think it would. I don't think it surprised too many people. Right there, I got a little tight on the number 3 with the inquiry sign being hung up. I don't think that was anything. But these 2 horses bump. Replete and Carl G bumped right there past the 8th pole. We'll see if there's any more action. And obviously, you're going to need to see the head-on. It looked like Replete may have come out on him a little bit again, just inside the 16th pole.
We'll see if we can get that head-on for you momentarily, unofficially. 2, 4, 7, 8. Inquiry sign is up, so this outcome in question as the stewards take a look at things back there at Oaklawn. It was Gentle Annie in the 7th at Aqueduct. Sam Camacho Jr., Natalia Lynch, 2nd off the claim with a win.
Not the winningest type we've ever seen in the history of the Big A. Gentle Annie, 3 for 45 coming into this. She really had trouble handling wet tracks in the past, but like we say, all wet tracks are different. She catches a muddy sealed track this afternoon here at Aqueduct, and she's going to do something she doesn't really say. These words are not usually associated with Gentle Annie, Greg. She gutted this one out. She gutted
did
this one
indeed.
out.
Just the 4th win, as you mentioned, 46 career starts, and you get rewarded $17.40 for the win. At 7-1, their 7-5-6 finish. Another favorite defeated. Keep beating favorites, and this pick 5 is going to be very generous. Mr. Breadwinner.
He was the 3rd or 4th choice, right?
$9.30 for the win. Daredevil Bull was a favorite to start it out. $218,000 in that pool. Still got 2 legs remaining. We got that head on for you now. Let's head back to Oaklawn, where both the 2 and 4 are flashing on the board.
All right, so you're going to see Raylu Gutierrez. He has the lime hat on. Carl G and Ramon Vasquez with the red hat right alongside. That looks incidental to me there. Now this one's going to look like the inside horse. It looks like the winner comes out into him here.
That's That's damning to the 2.
Right there. Wow. You know, and that one again, and that one again.
Gutierrez goes to the left-hand riding crop.
Wow.
And comes out.
I'll tell you what. This is race riding, and we just found out there was no change. I would have left it alone, too. And I had Carl G, but I would have left this alone. That's good old-fashioned race riding through the lane. Guys and gals, you know, in this instance, 2 guys down there just slugging it out through the lane. You let them ride. There was nothing unsafe about that. There wasn't anything too dramatic about the bumps. 2-4 under the line.
So Raylu Gutierrez, victory upheld. We're going to recap stakes action yesterday from Oaklawn. A lot of big performances, not just Cyberknife in the Arkansas Derby. We'll be back with more right after this.
Run Happy was the #1 second crop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual future pool favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Program brought to you in part where you can play it all. Go to NyraBets.com or download that NyraBets app to get signed up and started. Life's good right now for that man. Raylu Gutierrez gets the win here with Replete.
Yeah, good ride. A couple of really good rides there. Replete and Raylu Gutierrez, Ramon Vasquez and Carl G. Both were forward in a race that there was a murky pace scenario at best here. And again, just some race riding there. You're going to see them rub and bump a couple of times here. But, you know, it sounds ridiculous to say that it didn't affect the outcome, but they were bumping each other. So you don't know how it would have went if they didn't exchange blows. But yeah, that's a great example, though, Greg, of that inside having a little bit of an edge in those photo calls over at Oaklawn Park.
Raylu's got himself a Derby mount as well, Barber Road. He's been consistently hitting the board in these Derby preps. We'll see if he can take a big move forward when it matters.
He'll need to.
Keeps getting a piece of things.
He does.
More distance might even be better for him. 7th at Oaklawn, 2-turn mile, and a state bred allowance optional claiming race.
Yeah, a couple of scratches in here, so that certainly helps the outside draws move in a couple of stalls. That short stretch of the mile run, as the late, great Terry Wallace would say. It certainly helps those outside draws. So anytime there's scratches, and those horses were 6-1 and 10-1 on the morning line, but anytime there's scratches in those races, see it at other tracks across the country that do employ a first finish line, you always want to have a little bit, you don't mind those short stretch races having the inside draws.
Well, we talked about the Arkansas Derby. Let's talk about some of the other stakes on a star-filled card yesterday in Hot Springs. In the Fantasy on the Road to the Oaks, Ugiri, Florent Giroux made a decision to go forward with this filly, and it paid off.
She ran really well in here for the simple fact that she was kind of under the gun from the time the bell rang, right? You had Beguine on the inside, Bubble Rock's on the outside. Bubble Rock kind of kept her company most of the way. And this is a very nice effort. Speaking of an inquiry, this filly survived an inquiry and an objection as well. It was a real heady ride by Florent Geroux for the simple fact that he was an aggressor. And I think in her first start back against Secret Oath in the Honeybee, it was a little bit more of a complacent ride. But that was John Velasquez that day. And Florent decided to use this filly's speed, any horse's most dangerous weapon that has it, and was able to be the aggressor yesterday. Like I said, survives the inquiry. I thought the second horse did more than he did, to be honest with you. I thought this was a little bit of a ridiculous claim of foul. It's a nice effort. I don't know how good she is. I do know she's fast. And the filly who was the 2-year-old champion and undefeated, and I would say right now your Oaks favorite, an Echo Zulu. This filly could give her some fits on the front end of the Kentucky Oaks, because what she proved yesterday was she wants to lead as well, you giddy.
Trainer Rudolph Brissett says she doesn't have a huge turn of foot when you ask for it, but she can kind of sustain that run, and we saw that with her forward yesterday. Meanwhile, Oaklawn Mile and Folsom, how about this effort off the bench in the 4-year-old debut for this son of Into Mischief from Brad Cox?
That is a turn of foot, because this horse did not get away from the gate well. He was lagging behind the field in last. He came widest of all with a big rally. And you know what was impressive about his race, I think, the most, Greg? He not only came with a wide rally, but instead of just blowing by Cezanne, he kind of hooked him. And he got himself involved in a stretch battle against an older horse. Now, he's more seasoned than the older horse is, because Cezanne, they've had trouble keeping him on the racetrack. But when he hooked him, he looked him in the eye, and he continued on by him. And Cezanne had the benefit of a couple of races under his belt. Folsom was off the September layoff. That was a big, big effort. We keep seeing these newly turned 4-year-olds run these big races. I'm looking forward to his season.
Biggest number he's ever run. That was in his 4-year-old debut as well. Carousel and Frank's Rocket winds up bridesmaid again at a short price.
Acting Out gets to the front and does something to Frank's Rocket that we've seen before. She's discouraged a little bit when she's put in a little bit of a not a bad situation, but not free running, not able to use her tactical speed, and have to kind of get herself out of that spot. Right? She was inside of Acting Out most of the way. Alters course, gets outside of her just too late. Acting Out used her speed to an advantage. She also used the advantage of keeping Frank's Rocket in the box a little bit, and she's able to hold on by less than a length.
Looked like she was going to be alone in the race. We didn't know if she was going to be able to hang on, but she goes off at 6-1.
Amazing price. She was an amazing price
Incredible day of action at Oaklawn Park on Arkansas Derby Day, and of course Cyberknife punching his ticket to that first Saturday in May. Let's get Gary's thoughts. Gary, a lot to be impressed by. Who impressed you the most?
Well, I was super impressed with Folsom. I was super impressed with Folsom. I loved his race. First race as a 4-year-old. I think we're going to see some great things from him, but it was a 3-year-old's day. It was Arkansas Derby Day. Cyberknife, it was his coming out party yesterday. I loved what I saw going into the turn. They went fast early. They went 22-1 for the first quarter, then slowed it down to a 45-4. Florent was down on the ground, saving ground, and he split horses going into the turn, and he was able to shut the horse off again like a light switch and keep him relaxed into the lane and put that big, powerful run in. I think he lost concentration a little bit in the last 80 yards of the race. That's something that he's going to have to overcome, but he's got 5 weeks to do it. He's got enough points that he's in the Kentucky Derby. He's earned his spot. Talked to Florent Geroux. He thinks that he's going to continue to improve. The horse has been a little bit of a head case. They made that public knowledge that he's difficult to deal with, and it looked like the way he handled everything in the saddling enclosure yesterday to the infield, he handled everything like an old pro. So if he continues to improve, I don't know how fast that race came back yet, but he was the star of the day for me. Guys?
He still, as Gary talked about, has some things to sort out mentally. Unseated Florent Geroux in the post parade as well, but certainly had his mind on business during the running of that race. And Brad Cox says he's finally starting to put it all together.
Brad has done an amazing job with reclamation projects, if you will. Even though they both, Monomoy Girl wasn't. Monomoy Girl was a little bit of a head case and tough to handle. Anybody who had her from the time she was a yearling till the time she worked at the barn. And Nick's Go was even more of a little bit of a head case. They turned out pretty well, Greg. So whoever needs a little help on the couch at the Brad Cox barn, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing his continued progression. We're going to see his next start in the Run for the Roses. We get the feature from New York next, right after this on America's Day at the Races.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Thanks for being with us on this Sunday afternoon with action from Aqueduct and Oaklawn. Our program brought to you in part by Hill & Dale at Alapa. We got the feature next in New York. This New York bred A Other Than Allowance at 6 furlongs, and this is the filly to beat, making her 3-year-old debut, Velvet Sister.
And that means she's running against older horses for the first time, Greg. She gets Lasix, she catches a wet track, and we'll see what she does for Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen from the rail.
Manny Franco will be aboard. Blame It on Mary, Speedster, the 3.
Yeah, Blame It on Mary. She's going to be forward in here for sure. Has some other speed in here as well. We'll see how much pressure she gets on the front end.
Jackie Davis on the 4 Gens battle.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a little bit of a jumping off point for the turf season, which is right around the corner. She really has not done too well, though her 2 dirt wins have come on wet tracks.
Kendra Carmouche on Pretty Clever. Maiden win came at Belmont.
The alternative to the favorite, I feel, and the horse I wound up picking in here, I'd like to see her move forward off that first start off the bench from November. She's coming back quick from a March 18th return last time out.
Pika Chic, the 6, coming in from Parks, has speed outside as well. And the 2 out there somewhere, Big Tony's Girl at 11-1. This is a tough test for her. She struggled at this level last start. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, real interesting race. 6 horses, Velvet Sister, your favorite. And rightfully so. She's faced much tougher. She was very impressive on debut. And she looks fit. I mean, when I'm looking at a horse coming off a layoff, particularly at a short price, you know, you're just looking from a fitness level. Toby Sheets, Steve Asmussen's assistant trainer here in New York, does a fabulous job. I'm going to take a swing and go in a different direction, but I can't knock Velvet Sister. She certainly looks good coming off the bench. The 3-horse, Blame It on Mary, talking with Eddie Barker and her owner, John Guerrera, people that I used to ride a great deal for. And she's got basically like a pad around her left cornet. And I was asking Eddie Barker about it. He says she's been hitting herself, basically scalping herself, kind of her hoofs, you know, touching and cutting herself up during her races. He's changed a few things up in the morning. He said her last 2 works she has not touched at all, and she does have that pad. So I'm going to go with her, the 3, Blame It on Mary. Maybe the little adjustment in the morning, her shoeing, doing something a little different. Eddie Barker will have her. She'll be more comfortable and won't hit herself. And I think she could get loose in here. The 5, Pretty Clever, Jamie Begg, I asked about the quick turnaround. He said that she needed the last race. He thinks she came on from a fitness level. She was doing so good that he didn't want to pass up this spot. And she does look very fit to me, tightened up a great deal from the last race. The 6, Peak of Chic, she came from off the pace last time, has shown high speed at times. I think she holds the key to the race, particularly with what I'm thinking with the 3, Blame It on Mary. If she sits off of Blame It on Mary, maybe Blame It on Mary gets loose, but it's all going to depend on tactics from Dylan Davis here. So kind of an interesting race. Got a short price favorite, but I am looking at 5-1 on Blame It on Mary, guys.
Mig, thanks. And he really hit on what kind of is the key to this race with the 6, Peak of Chic, because she won, as he said, from off the pace last start, but she also won very recently 3 starts ago, gate to wire. So what does Dylan Davis do? And the fact that he's drawn outside, he's got options.
He has options, and I think that's important. Blaming on Mary and Jose Gomez, the hot rod and bug, I would imagine he's going to be very aggressive with Blaming on Mary, and we'll see how Dylan reacts with Peak of Chic.
Got to say goodbye to those watching on Bally Sports Southern California and San Diego. Thanks for being with us. Our coverage, of course, continues on FS2 as we get set for our feature here at Aqueduct, and our feature is still to come with Lone Rock in the 8th out at Oaklawn. So about a minute to post here in our feature race on this Sunday card on this muddy sealed track. Velvet Sister, 3-year-old debut. You never know how they're going to come back, but if she progresses from the races she's shown, and she's faced so much tougher company, she'll be tough.
But she's only faced New York breds, Greg, and I think that's important, especially now where she didn't come back early enough in the season where she could face fellow 3-year-olds. She needs to face the older horses now, and she's facing some fillies in here who, while they may not have the blue sky she has and have faced some of the fillies she's faced, Classy Edition, November Rain, probably want to flip-flop those. She's facing horses that are more seasoned, fillies that are more seasoned. So, and she has to deal with the rail in her debut. Let's see how she, in her 3-year-old debut, I should say. Let's see how she comes away from there.
Manny Franco aboard. She just stepped in. Even money for her 3-year-old return to the races from that inside post. Sunday feature coming up here from Aqueduct. John Imbrial, the call.
Waiting for Pretty Clever and Peak of Chic. There in the gate. And they're off. Blame It on Mary has the early lead with Velvet Sister down at the rail, and on the outside it is a Peak of Chic, then Pretty Clever, who's in between horses, racing in 4th. A break of 3 back to the 2 trailers, Jen's Battle and Big Tony's Girl. Blame It on Mary steps away here to lead by 3.5 lengths. On the outside is Peak of Chic racing in 2nd. Velvet Sister, the favorite, down at the rail in 3rd. The quarter in the mud in 22 2/5 seconds. It is Blame It on Mary with a 3-length lead. Peak of Chic in 2nd. Pretty Clever has now moved up into 3rd. Velvet Sister being asked for more, but in 4th now and a half dozen lengths from the lead. At the back of the pack, Big Tony's Girl and Jen's Battle, and they're all chasing Blame It on Mary, who has the lead into the stretch. It is Blame It on Mary in front. Pretty Clever has moved into 2nd. Velvet Sister is 3rd, and then Peak of Chic. Here is Pretty Clever now, drawing right alongside of Blame It on Mary. Blame It on Mary and Pretty Clever is in front. Pretty Clever now drawing away in deep stretch. Pretty Clever the winner. Blame It on Mary was 2nd. 3-way photo for 3rd.
2 today for Kendra Carmouche, running down the speed in here, an aggressive Jose Gomez early. Clearly had a game plan, but weakens late.
2 really good rides in here. The ride on the winner, Pretty Clever, who Trevor was probably further back than he thought he was going to be. That was because of the fantastic ride that Jose Gomez gave Blame It on Mary. She was going to win this race one way, and that's by blasting off and putting some separation between her, Peak of Chic, Velvet Sister, whoever else had any ideas of going to the lead with her. Some are going to say, well, he went a little too fast, 22 and 246. If I bet on Blame It On Mary today, I would be ecstatic with that ride this bug boy just put on that horse. She got beat 2.5, 3 lengths.
Yeah.
She's 5-1. She got beat by a logical horse. You should have made some money with her if you liked her today, because it was a very logical result if you used Blame It On Mary.
And a young rider who's being mentored by the great Angel Cordero Jr. We talk about it a lot on this program, but he's learning some very good lessons, and he's winning a lot of races. As we head back to Oaklawn, post-parade for the 7th, here's Mrs. Beans.
Draws the inside here, and she's in for the tag after trying Stakes Company last time out against fellow Arkansas breds. She didn't show her usual speed after a little bit of trouble last time at the break.
Yeah, faced a really talented Garhole, had a sort of a slow break yesterday and got beat for the first time in 5 starts. Dinner at Crumpy's, Francisco Arrieta.
Cuts back to the mile. Showed some speed last time at 12-1 and almost pulled it off.
Big success, Ramon Vasquez.
Stretched out last time, finished right behind Dinner at Crumpy's after a little bit of traffic trouble. See how the second time going long works out.
Top Road Rules. This is a horse who actually was second to Garhole back on December 4th.
Maiden winner going gate to wire, was taken back to dead last in the second start. I wonder if Santana resorts to the front-running ways today.
Leo Del Rio, can you make a case at all?
That's kind of tough off his last 4 starts since an August layoff.
Buddy Rowe at 15-1.
Yeah, he stretched out around 2 turns on the dirt for the first time last time. Made this big middle move and then faded late.
Reef's Destiny for Robert Klein.
Another horse was on the stretch out last time, was forward in a pretty contentious early pace and then faded in the stretch.
And Smoking Boots probably going to be last early.
Yeah, this horse made up a little bit of ground last time, but did get some pace to run at. I don't know how much pace this horse gets to run at today. I thought he was a sneaky long shot last time. I feel the same way today.
So Mrs. Beans from the rail, 4-5, stretching back out for the first time in a while. Did break her maiden going long. Let's go to Gary Stevens for more.
Yeah, I thought it was a suspicious drop. This dropping in for 20. He caused his own problems in the no double stakes last time out. He drew the 1 hole. He ducked in severely. He's lucky he didn't run into the rail. That's how bad he ducked in. He doesn't have to worry about that today because there is no gap for him to break into. But he did have an excuse, but he caused it himself last time out. Like I said, I think it's a suspicious drop. Top Road Rules is the one that makes sense to me. He got himself left last time out. If you go back to his race 2 back where he was a winner going a route of ground, it was an impressive win. He went straight to the lead that day, and he usually lays close to the pace or on the lead most of the time, and he was back basically eased in the race after getting himself left early. So that's where I'm landing on. I think you like this one a little bit too, JK.
I do. I'm going to try to beat the favorite, G. I like the 6 Top Road Rules. This is a horse that I'm going to ignore the last race. And a lot of times you'd like to try to find an excuse there. The horse was wide all the way around there. It was, facing allowance company. You just try to come up with an excuse why. And if you look back at the race 2 back, that horse can absolutely win this race off of that one. So I think the 6 is kind of interesting. I also thought the 5, Big Success, who had the trip last time, got into some trouble, lost some ground, ran well enough. He's got back numbers. They can get the job done here. And then the 2, Dinner at Crumpy's, another one who I thought could get the job done, is a horse that has some tactical speed from the inside, will need to kind of get away from their running. But I think there's 3 options if you want to try to beat this 3-5 shot. I think it's the 2, 5, and the 6. Ultimately, I'll go with the 5 off of that trip, but I do think all 3 horses are live if you want to beat the 3-5.
It's a tough race to try and handicap in here, but there's several options, it looks like.
I'm with Jonathan. I think we've identified the 3 horses you want to beat the favorite. I sound a little more gung-ho about beating this favorite. This horse's best figs, at least his best fig, has come on a wet track. His lone win prior to the win 2 back was also on a wet track. So this horse is 2 for 4 with 2 seconds on wet tracks, 0 for 6 on dry tracks. He also hasn't went long in about 13 months. And if we're being honest, Greg, his 2 races on dry ground going long are 2 of the worst races of his career. Now, he's a different horse, obviously, but you really want this horse at 4-5 all the way back in for the tag. This horse hasn't been in for a tag for a year and 2 days. And rightfully so. Horse ran well in the Rainbow last year. He came back this year, and he ran well in the allowance races against fellow Arkansas breds. And then fourth, after all of that trouble in the stakes race last time. And I know he's out of his condition here. You know, he can't run for the yay other than again because he won it, the money allowance race 2 back. But why is he in for 20? I know the season's ending and stuff. At 4 to 5, he can win. I wouldn't be taking him at 4 to 5.
And, you know, even though, look, he broke his maiden. We talked about it a mile in the mud. That was Remington. I'm not convinced about him at this mile distance here. I thought Big Success, to me, the 5, had an excuse last time. That was his first time going long. Had traffic troubles he encountered.
Tough trip.
And he ran a very good race.
Tough trip last time. And he really had a tough – in a race where, you know, there was some speed signed on. There were a couple of questionable decisions made. Top road rules, right? So off the big gate-to-wire maiden score where he went fast early, right? He went 23 to assert himself on the lead in the maiden win 2 back. And then that race looked like there was a ton of speed in it last time. Unlike in other places, when there looks like there's a ton of speed at Oaklawn Park, there's a ton of speed at Oaklawn Park. He didn't break perfectly. He didn't break 100% perfectly. And when that happened, I think Ricardo Santana Jr. said, instead of me rushing into a scrum on the front end, let me just take him back and make one run. It didn't work. I mean, I'm not a Mensa member to tell you it didn't work. But it's not like this. Mrs. Bean's coming out of sprint
It's a race
races.
you can put a line through.
It's a race you can put a line through, but it doesn't. That they are now mutually exclusive of each other. Mrs. Bean's coming out of the sprint races and has drawn the inside. Dinner at Crumpy's was part of that pace and lived to tell the tale last time, getting beat just 3/4 of a length. Right? We talked about top road rules. Leo Del Rio, whether you think he has a chance or not at 27-1, he's coming out of sprint races, and he's drawn outside. You'd have to imagine he's going to want to try and get some position. So another race where, and now the late money's pouring in on Big Success.
Wow, this is.
How much did you guys bet? This was 5-1 a minute ago.
Well, I'm looking too at look at the money's pouring into Mrs. Bean's. It
went up 3 to 5 now, even money.
Still think even that number is too short.
I'm stunned at how short a price Mrs. Bean's is. I thought Big Success would be somewhere in the 2 to 1, 5 to 2 range. Now, maybe his destiny is that, the way the money keeps coming in as the field makes their way to the gate. But I didn't think anybody in this race deserved to be 6 to 5, 7 to 5, let alone even money like Mrs. Bean's is. And I certainly didn't think if any of them were going to be that price, it would be Mrs. Bean's.
Well, as Gary talked about, completely compromised last time. And does not have to deal with that gap to the inside this time around, Mrs. Beans, from the rail, from where they start here. So we'll see if that can solve some issues for him. Mrs. Beans gets me every time. David Cabrera, looking for another win on today's card. Leading rider at the meet, teaming up with Gennaro Garcia. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Slow start, Big Success. Leo Del Rio, Mrs. Beans, and Top Road Rules all break well. Reef's Destiny and Dinner at Crumpy's, then Buddy Rowe and Smokin' Boots. And the bad start has Big Success at the back of the pack. Mrs. Beans rides the rail to the lead to the backstretch, a half length in front of Top Road Rules in second. Dinner at Crumpy's is third and 2 from the front with Reef's Destiny just outside. Then Buddy Rowe in the red, fifth and about 4 from the lead, a length and a half in front of Leo Del Rio. Smokin' Boots has 7 lengths to close, and still Big Success at the back of the pack. 8 lengths first to last. Up the backstretch, finish line is the 16th pole, and we have a new leader. It is Top Road Rules who takes charge now. Going past the half-mile marker, Top Road Rules a length and a half. Mrs. Beans is now in second, but will re-engage from the outside. And here comes Mrs. Beans right back at Top Road Rules, and now these two will match strides. Dinner at Crumpy's is third and less than a half length from the lead. 2.5 to Reef's Destiny Destiny. Buddy Rowe is all in 5th and 6 off the lead. Big Success has 8 to close, then Smokin' Boots. Leo Del Rio is the trailer, and we have another new leader, and it's Mrs. Beans. Mrs. Beans, a half length in front of Top Road Rules in 2nd. 2 lengths to Dinner at Crumpy's in 3rd. Big Success just took 4th, but is 6 lengths behind Mrs. Beans, who comes to the final 16th of a mile with a 2-length lead. Dinner at Crumpy's is now clearly 2nd, then Top Road Rules and Big Success, but now Mrs. Beans just opens up and runs away. Mrs. Beans in front. Mrs. Beans won by 3 3/4. Dinner at Crumpy's was 2nd, Top Road Rules 3rd. Close for 4th between Smokin' Boots and Big Success.
Mrs. Beans, he was just way too good. He took pressure early in this race and then produces this stretch run.
Well, I guess the mile wasn't a problem, Greg.
Not today.
He was good today. I'll tell you what, he got a good ride from David Cabrera, too. There's a reason he is the leading rider at that meet, and in all likelihood going to wrap up that title in a few weeks when they wrap things up down in Hot Springs. He was aggressive with this horse from the start, and like you said, took on all challenges today. I think the mistake comes sometimes when the battle begins. Some riders will back off. He almost welcomed it and just kept this horse in the fight and was able to draw away at the end.
At a short price, a dominant performance, stretching back out to a mile distance. Horse is now 2 for 3 at this mile.
I would say they knew, but he was the morning line favorite. That was a short price, though.
Back in New York, Pretty Clever. 2-win day for Kendrick Carmouche.
Yeah, good ride here. It was allowed the speed to run away from him. Jamie Begg starting to get a little momentum, a couple of wins now here at Aqueduct. 1 in the winter meet we just wrapped up. He kicks off the spring meet the right way here with Pretty Clever.
5-3-2 finish. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, here with winning condition of Jamie Begg. Pretty Clever, quick turnaround after that comeback. But, boy, she really ran well today, Jamie.
Yeah, I was really happy with her. When she was sitting kind of close, I knew that she always came with a bit at the end. She's kind of one pace, but when they collapse a little bit at her, she can reel them in. So I felt good as soon as Kendrick tipped her out and she got in the middle of the track. I think the Asmussen filly was down, kind of stuck down on the rail, and I think that may have hurt them a little bit. So I felt pretty confident turning for home that she was going to get that leader.
Jamie, you got this filly off of Mark Cassie, who you worked with for 6 years. You were his assistant, went on your own last year, but obviously still have a good relationship with him.
Yeah, and I also have a good relationship with Mr. Farmer, the owner. I'd had some good horses, but obviously that connection was made through Mark, and so Mark just wasn't going to stay here in the winter for Aqueduct, so they kind of said they had a few people in mind, and Tracy was like, give Jamie a shot with a couple, and so I hopefully continued connection there.
Well done, and hopefully we'll see you a lot more here in the winner's circle. Jamie Begg, a trainer to keep an eye on, been out on his own for a bit over a year now.
It's great to see. Getting an opportunity, getting some horses here and making the most of it. Jamie Begg with Pretty Clever. As you take a look at the late pick 5 follow along, Channel Annie, the big price in there.
Yeah. We'll see. We've beaten the favorite now in the last 3 legs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say they were all 4 figures. Don't hold me to that. There was a quick glance at the top screen. But yeah, we beat a lot of favorites in this leg and a couple of short ones, especially Grudge.
Going to close it out with this. New York bred, $25,000 maiden claiming Sprint at 6 furlongs. The 7 Sweet Sugar Baby, the 9 Ice Cream Sundae, going to probably take most of the attention, even though you see a big price right now in the 7.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're the 3 horses that are supposed to take some money in here, but I would not be surprised. There are very few results in this race, my friend, that would surprise me. Bottom level maidens on a muddy seal track. We'll see what happens.
Here's the favorite right now, Ice Cream Sundae, start number 2 for Rudy Rodriguez, Trevor McCarthy, and has the outside post blinkers going on today. We'll be back.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the Immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, he was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales ring. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Mrs. Beans picks up the third win of his career, and the last 2 times he has gone a mile, he's been a winner.
Yeah. Fooled. I was fooled. We were all kind of fooled by this one, right? We all took little shots against him, and he ran big. He ran a big race today. And again, aggression was the key. Saved some ground, saved position. I was talking to somebody walking in today, one of our riders who shall remain nameless. This game has changed to the point where it is so much more about position now. And whether you're on the front end, whether you're just off the pace, so important to not give up position. And Cabrera has been doing it day in and day out at that Oaklawn meet. He does not give up position. In this instance, it was on the front end.
We move on to the feature at Oaklawn. It is the Temperance Hill, named after the champion 3-year-old of 1980. Mile-and-a-half distance, and maybe no one better at that distance in this country than the 1-2 favorite Lone Rock.
He is a distance specialist. Now, you can argue that when he won the Tinsel, he just got better. And he's a better horse. But to think that going to these marathon distances hasn't turned him into a much better horse, because he thrives at distances that most horses can't handle. It would be foolish to think that, right? I mean, just because he won at the shorter distances doesn't mean he's not better going longer. It just means he's gotten good. And he, that was speaking of good rides, that was a good ride in the Tinsel by Mr. Vasquez.
They were trying to take a shot to see if he could compete in the major races in the handicap division.
The money.
And it didn't work out. The Razorback didn't go his way. It was a test, and now it's back to doing what he does best.
I think the Razorback was worth $600,000, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think we were talking about that. $600,000 for a prep. This race is worth $150,000, and it's the race that if you're a distance horse, you have circled on the calendar. So the prep is $600,000 in the more normal distances, and these different distances, these marathon distances, the focal point is $150,000. Of course, you're going to try and go shorter.
Yeah, Lone Rock. We're going to get back to his return to a mile-and-a-half coming up momentarily. Right now, we still have the nightcap coming up, 9 minutes away from the finale here in New York. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, Greg, it's just starting to just spit a little bit. Maybe a little drizzle going to be starting here in a few moments. But we'll start with the first-time starter, drawn towards the inside. The 2, Dance for Bourbon. Really pretty, well-put-together daughter of war dancer. I really like what I'm seeing from her. I do think you might see the best of her when she gets to the turf, but a good starting point for her. But just a real nice, classy little filly that certainly attracted my attention here in the paddock. The 4, Gracefully Wild, coming off of an extended layoff for trainer Eddie Barker. Boy, she looks good. She looks very fit off that layoff. I don't really think she's going to have much of a problem with the layoff, and I think she landed in a good spot here. Looking forward to seeing her travel on the racetrack, but I really like what I'm seeing from her here in the paddock. The 8-horse, Arduously, has really run some poor races, has shown speed and stopped. But I was talking with Gary Siaka's assistant, Paul, and he said that she had trained so well before she ever ran in Saratoga, and her last work was reminiscent of that. And if you look at it, it was a bullet, 47-1, best of 43 works that morning for the distance on the training track at Belmont. So her form is terrible, but they say she trained better than she has in a very long time in her last work. Then the 9, Ice Cream Sunday, turning back in distance, adding blinkers. She's a kind of a big, rangy filly. Rudy Rodriguez's horses look good. They run well. And I think the outside post is going to help her because she's kind of long and leggy. And the first time out, she didn't break particularly well going a mile. I do think she'll put herself more in the game today with that experience, the addition of blinkers, and a very aggressive Trevor McCarthy.
So Ice Cream Sunday, thanks, Mig. 2-1 favor right now. As we look at the pick 5, Will Pays, if the current favorite should win, and that's the lowest payoff in the pick 5, just over $1,800.
Yeah, giant. This is the 3rd day in a row. These late pick 5s, listen, I open my Naira Bets account before the 4th or 5th race. Some days 6, 10 races, next weekend, Wood Memorial. I think we have an early post. I know we have the Wood Memorial Betting Challenge next week. You can sign up for that over at Naira.com forward/contests. I think we have a 12:50 start that day, maybe 11 races. In any event, you have to be playing this late pick 5. These parlay, they're paying 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 times the parlay, Greg. It's insane. I mean, you found Gentle. If you were able to find Gentle Annie today, it's a 5-horse field.
Yeah.
If you're able to find Gentle Annie, and I know a lot of you out there, you may not want to admit it to your friends. A lot of you out there like that all ball, like hitting that all ball button.
I have no
not
problem.
you. I know you don't. That's why I was looking at you when I said it. They can't see me looking at you when I said it. You've helped me hit some tickets by being okay with hitting that all ball sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes a race has you licked. You can lick it back by hitting that all button and catching a Gentle Annie in a 5-horse field with a vulnerable favorite, perhaps. And now you've turned a ticket that looked like it was going to pay $400 at 2:30 in the afternoon to one that's paying $1,800 with those people on the screen right there.
Yep. Rudy Rodriguez coming off back-to-back training titles and just recently taking the Aqueduct Winter Meet. Good for him. And he's going to team up with Trevor McCarthy, who wasn't able to win it, but he had a tremendous Aqueduct Winter Meet returning to New York.
A couple of brother-in-laws, Dylan Davis, Trevor McCarthy, put on a show here this winter. They both had really, really good meets. Good to see Dylan. Dylan came back from that injury. Dylan came back from that injury on Memorial Day last year, and he has been stronger and more aggressive. This young man went out to California. Trevor McCarthy came back, and a lot of guys, it'll take them a few months, a half a year to get their feet back under them. He came back, and he finished second.
Impact. Yeah.
He finished second against Manny Franco, Kendrick Carmouche, an up-and-coming bug rider, and Jose Gomez, Dylan.
And you can make the argument with Trevor McCarthy that no one was more attuned to how the track was playing in that jockey's room than he was.
Locked and loaded. He was locked and loaded from when we started the meet after the Cigar Mile in December until we just wrapped it up last Sunday. Locked and loaded. Great job.
5 minutes away from this 9th here at New York. Going to close out this Sunday card. Our post-parade here coming up in a moment. Favorite remains Ice Cream Sunday, who, off that debut, obviously Rudy Rodriguez, you would think, is going to move them forward in here. But what are the negatives with him?
I think the negatives are the horse debuted for $25,000. The horse debuted going a mile, so we don't know if this filly wants to go short. We don't know if this how good she is. I mean, she could have been 4th by default last time. So,
all right, start number 2 coming up. Trying something new, sprinting instead today. Here's Miss Malala from the inside.
Dropped all the way down to the quarter last time. Finished 4th. Her best race to date. She's still going to need to get faster.
First-time starter. This filly, the Dam, was actually a 6-time winner.
Yeah, but she's by War Dancer. There haven't been a lot of War Dancers on the dirt. Wonder if this is a little jumping-off point for the turf season, which is right around the corner.
Lowest level yet for this filly right here. Gracefully Wild, but a long time off.
Yeah, we haven't seen her for over 14 months. They paid $100,000 for her. At the 2-year-old sale, we'll see if Jose Gomez can work some magic with this daughter of Shackelford.
Rider change on blind side. It's Kendrick Carmouche.
Yeah, Kendrick Carmouche going to pick up the call here. Finished 3rd, going 7/8 last time. Cuts back to 6 furlongs. Probably faces a little bit of an easier bunch today than she did last time, despite the same level.
Surprisingly, Sweet Sugar Baby taking the biggest drop of anybody in the field. Still a number up there at 5-1.
Yeah, that race at Finger Lakes last time left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. She gets Lasix for the first time. She'll also take on Older as a 3-year-old.
Arduously at 8-1, Heeman Harkey.
Yeah, last 2 races leave a lot to be desired. They were 2 on fast tracks. So a sloppy track effort wasn't much better.
Early speed and another bullet drill coming into this start. And then Ice Cream Sunday, the favorite outside.
Blinkers go on. She cuts back in distance. Daughter of Keen Ice. Had some moisture in the track first time out. There's a whole lot more today. She's getting a good warm-up on the Trevor McCarthy. We'll see. 2-1. I'll tell you what, I didn't think anybody should be that short in this field.
3 minutes from this finale on our Sunday card. Here in New York at America's Day at the Races, you can play it with Naira Bets. Go to the app or go to nairabets.com. That's the promo code to use for new members. Stakes 200 and get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Let's go to Jonathan Kinchin. JK, how are you going to play the nightcap?
Yeah, this is a tough race. When it comes to these maiden claimers, and we often see them at the end of these cards at Naira, whether it be at Belmont, Saratoga, or at Aqueduct, one of the first things I look for is have the horses taken money or run well in maiden special weight races. The second thing I look for is, did at any point these horses show talent, whether that be early speed and fade or kind of a late close? When it comes to the 7 and the 9, a couple of those things have happened. The 7, Sweet Sugar Baby, throughout the career at times has shown a little bit of speed, has also taken some money, and has been competitive in maiden special weights. Kind of checks all the boxes for me when we're looking at these types of races. The 9, Ice Cream Sunday, Source didn't run all that great last time from a speed figure standpoint, from an early pace figure standpoint, but the horse did take a little bit of money on debut for Rudy, got a little bit of a wide trip, and like we've talked about this week on the show, Rudy Rodriguez has been pretty hot as of late. I felt like those were the 2 horses that you needed in this spot. I didn't, when I played the pick 5, all I used was the 7 and the 9. That's really it for me. I'm going to go with the 7, it's a little bit of a better price, a horse that has a little bit more experience and has been competitive at maiden special weight, while the 9 has only run for 25 once.
Well, reasons to like them both in this spot. I mean, yeah, there's excuses for the 9. We'll see sprinting today, but Sweet Sugar Baby, easiest field that she'll have faced yet.
Yeah, Ruski, the filly that won her last effort up at Finger Lakes, nice filly. She's a useful filly. She did some good down here this past winter.
And meanwhile, they're both 5-2 on the board, so pick your poison. Let's head down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, not a lot changed from my perspective from the paddock. The 2, Dance for Bourbon, it's just a really pretty mover, lovely filly. I don't know if today's the day, and I agree with Anthony. I think turf might be eventually what she really wants, but I really like her mechanics, and I really like the way she moves. Very light on her feet, and a filly that I'm going to definitely follow back, particularly after I see how she runs today and maybe eventually getting to the turf. The 4, Gracefully Wild, liked her in the paddock. Continue to like her on the racetrack. Is a long layup that she has to deal with. The 6, Blindside, is the only horse that I added to my list and ultimately landed on. Really like the way she warmed up under Kendrick. I believe in big warm-ups as he does. He's in tune with the racetrack. I think it's definitely got an outside flow to it, and I think she's going to catch enough speed and get in the clear, and I think she'll come motoring down the middle of the track like what I saw there. And the 9, Ice Cream Sunday. But I look at her, and I just see a horse that wants more ground, and I think 5-2 is too short a price for her, guys.
All right, so we'll see what happens. Big thanks with this filly here, the 9, who just left our screen. Cutting back in distance here, start number 2, but still with this one, those 2 on the board at 5-2.
I picked Ice Cream Sunday, but any one of 3 or 4 of these fillies can win.
Nightcap here from Aqueduct. This race is going to close it out. We still have our feature to come from Oaklawn, that Temperance Hill with Lone Rock back in action, so stay tuned for that. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
Set for the start of race 9. And they're off. Gracefully Wild going out for the lead. Arduously now moves up to challenge. It's Arduously to take the lead from Gracefully Wild. The front 2 have 4 lengths. Dance for Bourbon is down at the rail. Sweet Sugar Baby is on the outside. And then comes a Blind Sight, followed by Ice Cream Sunday. Miss Malala is the trailer in 7th. The leader, Arduously, stepping away here to lead by 5 lengths. Gracefully Wild runs in 2nd. Sweet Sugar Baby's on the outside. Blind Sight is down towards the rail. The quarter went in 22-2. Arduously leads here by almost 5. Now they're beginning to cut into that lead. It is Blind Sight who is picking up the chase and moving into 2nd, then Gracefully Wild. Sweet Sugar Baby on the extreme outside. The lead has evaporated for Arduously, and here is Gracefully Wild and Blind Sight, and the 2 of them are right together with Sweet Sugar Baby on the outside. They're at the 16th pole now. It's Blind Sight on the inside, Gracefully Wild on the outside, and it's going to be Blind Sight to give Kendrick Carmouche his 3rd win today.
3 for Kendrick, Blind Sight in start number 7. The victory to close out this card, wins at 5-1.
Yep, Kendrick picked up the mount here. He got the job done. Got back to a wet track for the first time since the debut. Good ride. Three bagger on the day.
Well, talk about a game plan. You can always count on Heeman Harkey if he's on a horse with speed to do his job in front. Arduously, the 8 tried to put this field to sleep, and in the end had nothing left late.
Yeah. Loved it. Loved the aggression, but nothing you can do about it. Fell apart late. Sweet Sugar Baby looked like she needed to. I mean, the last thing you want to do is start keeping an eye on $25,000 maidens going forward, Greg, but it certainly looked like she needed to race off the layoff.
6, 4, 7, 28 to one shot. Miss Malala, the 1, completing the superfecta in here. But a big day for Kendra Carmouche, getting 3 on the afternoon. Chad Summers winning trainer, and a filly by Palace Malice, appreciating the offgoing here.
Yeah, Palace Malice, of course, the 2013 Belmont Stakes winner, 2014 Met Mile winner. Nice horse, Todd Pletcher, Dogwood Stables.
5 to 1 to close it out here in New York. And the feature next, as we shift gears and head over to Oaklawn, named after this horse, champion 3-year-old Temperance Hill, and this Belmont Stakes victory beat the Derby winner Genuine Risk and the Preakness winner Codex at 53 to 1.
Speaking of the Belmont Stakes, the test of the champion, I was there. I think it was 3. Yes, I was 3 years old for this one. Temperance Hill getting the job done, like you said, over $100. Pretty amazing.
For John Ed Anthony, and then it was known his operation as Loblolly Stables. That horse that year, what an incredible 3-year-old campaign, would go on to win the Super Derby, the Travers, Jockey Club Gold Cup as well.
Yeah.
And, of course, named champion 3-year-old.
Jockey Club Gold Cup at that time may have been 2 miles. Not certain. At least 1.5 miles. Maybe 2 miles. But I think it was, you know what, it was probably 1.5 miles at that point, and appropriately so for a horse that's won the Belmont Stakes and the Jockey Club Gold Cup. That they got 1.5 miles race named for him, and of course the John and Anthony association with Oaklawn Park. So it all makes a lot of sense. It all comes together. That's how it works. Right? It all comes together.
And a race named in his honor is coming up next, where we're going to see Lone Rock back in action, getting back to his MO, what he's best at, going 1.5 miles and beyond. He's 3 to 5 in here. He's got some real competition, though, I believe. Obviously, he's the star. He's the known quantity. But Strong Tide is a horse who has really come on the last couple of starts and proved at 1.5 miles. He is dangerous last out.
No question about it. Looked like Last Samurai needed his race off the bench in the Razorback last time out. This is an interesting, but Tenfold always seems to sniff a piece of the pie. This is an interesting race.
So he's sort of the champ at this 1.5 mile distance and beyond. And we'll see if he can remain there now as a 7-year-old. 3 to 5 favorite in here. Take a look at, this was a race where they were trying to see if he could be a handicap division horse. He got the win here, and off his performance on a wet track, they gave him that test in the Razorback, which it ultimately didn't work out.
He earned it. He earned it because he was able to go to 1 1/8 miles here. And I know he cut back to the 1 1/16 in a Razorback. Anybody who thinks the 16th of a mile was the reason he didn't run better in the Razorback, obviously that's not the case. But this was a good effort here. And off of this effort, I think he absolutely deserves, again, we're going to go back to the dollars and cents. He's a gelding. So unlike a lot of horses that run in stakes races, he does not have a future in the breeding shed. So when you have a horse like him, and listen, he was claimed for $40,000. Jay Provenzano from Flying P, Randy Hill has a piece of him now. They claimed him for $40 in the last race of his season in 2020. He earned $840,000 last year.
Maybe the best claim of the year.
I think we could remove maybe from that sentence, right, buddy? 800,000. Yeah. 800,000. Right, there's probably a filly or two that went on to get some black type that down the line, but dollars and cents, bird in the hand, 800,000. With a gelding, you're going to go try and find the money. The money's just not there in the distance races.
That Connections took the shot. He deserved it.
Deserved it.
He'd done everything. He basically, they don't really have a Breeders' Cup race for that mile and a half distance,
right.
But he won on the Breeders' Cup card, the race that was carded.
The old race, the old Breeders' Cup Marathon.
Right.
He won it, right.
So, yeah, take a shot. Didn't work out. Now he's back to where he is ultra dangerous. And, you know, he's got to deal with this horse, too, his stablemate, Goalie, that 5, who we'll get back to. Which just ran a pretty big race figure-wise as well at 1.5 miles. Nightcap in New York, it's in the books. Blind Sight, 3-win Sunday for Kendra Carmouche.
Yeah. You see Blind Sight in between horses here. Kind of taking, I don't want to say the worst of it, but going to rally between a Fading Arduously and Gracefully Wild. Looked like she was going to get out of the maiden ranks with Blind Sight. Kendra Carmouche hustling past the 8th pole, kind of in a little bit of a stretch duel with Gracefully Wild, and able to nurse her home the last 16th of a mile and slightly edge away from that one with Sweet Sugar Baby off the November break, doing some late rallying down the center of the muddy course.
$12.60 for the victory. Pick 4 over $1,000 on this Sunday card. And the pick 5, $3,255. How about the pick 6? We had a carryover coming in today, $15,629.
Nice, great payout. The highest price in this sequence was $17.40 in a 5-horse field. You had a crapshoot maiden race at the end. Really can only use 2 horses in the 8th race, I thought. 2 or 3 in the 6th race, 2 or 3 in the 5th race. You put yourself together a little $96 ticket over at Naira Bet. You get yourself $3,200.
I know Mig liked that horse a little bit. You look at these races, and you're like, could I put that together?
I like Pretty
this,
Clever.
For me, Blindside would have been tough to find for me.
Yeah, one of the tougher ones, but the horse is also the second biggest price in the sequence. So
back to the Temperance Hill and Lone Rock. This is his stablemate who we were just talking about when we left here, Goalie. Went forwardly placed, won by 9 lengths at 1.5 miles to just blow away a field at this marathon distance for the same barn as Lone Rock.
Robertino Diodoro kind of has this one surrounded, right? Goalie will be in front, dealing with Strong Tide, or vice versa. I think Goalie's faster than Strong Tide. So he goes and deals with him. And then Lone Rock is sitting in the offing in third. Maybe Warbird from the outside draws a little forward. He's not that fast. But I would imagine Goalie's in front of this field. He didn't beat much last time. He didn't beat much. He won on a Thursday afternoon on St. Patrick's Day, and I remember covering the race here. So just a little over 2 weeks ago, 17 days ago. He didn't beat much, but he certainly did it the right way. David Cohen just lapped him on, and he turned him loose at around the half-mile pole, and it was 3/8 pole, and it was over.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a big figure, too, for the win.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, and obviously Diodoro, to have the ability to have a horse put pressure on your main rival in Strong Tide, you got to feel pretty good about that. But Strong Tide, he was so impressive last time out.
He was. You wonder, I think you wonder how much a wet track had to do with that. But he's run twice on dirt, 1 mile and 9/16 down at Oaklawn last year, 1 mile and a half this year, 1.
So here's Lone Rock, 14 wins, over $1.1 million in earnings.
3 for 4 at the distance with a second-place finish for almost $400,000. He's a distance specialist who gets to play his game for the first time in 3 starts.
Stakes winner, Last Samurai for Dallas Stewart.
Yeah, it looked like he needed the race off the little bit of the break and the Razorback. He's another one. One lone effort at 1.5 miles. He got beat just a neck in the Greenwood Cup down at Parks.
Yeah, graded stakes placed at this distance. Tenfold David Cabrera filling in for Rosario.
Hit the superfecta in the 2018 Preakness with Justify. He's another one. He always seems to grab a piece of the pie here. He's a good price at 8-1.
Here's the 5-year-old that's kind of up and coming at this distance, Strong Tide.
Yeah, Giovanni Franco, you would imagine he's going to be forward, maybe sitting just off of the horse on the screen now, Goalie.
Stablemate to the heavy favorite, Lone Rock, Goalie.
Have to imagine, even though he stalked and pounced last time, that he'll set the pace in here and maybe provide a little bit of a target for his more heralded stablemate.
And Warbird coming out of a couple of races at 1.25 miles on synthetic and 2 on dirt before that.
He only has 2 races on the main track. They're both at 1.25 miles. He broke his maiden at Churchill. He ran 3rd in a entry-level allowance race. Getting back to a dirt track here today, he's the longest shot on the board. He's the horse I may want to be sneaky with to round out my exacta with Lone Rock.
He would figure-wise, and maybe he can, but would need to take a big move forward
He would.
here. We'll find out. You're going to get rewarded if he does. He's 12-1 right now. Strong Tide, last time out, it was right here at Oaklawn. It was a muddy track, 1.5 mile distance. He was coming out of a turf race, too. Runs a huge, huge race to win by 10.5 lengths.
Yeah, caught a muddy track. You see there's some moisture in that track, and Giovanni's keeping at him. He was able to set a real easy pace that day, Greg, and that's what bothers me. Now, he's an Oaklawn Park lover. 3 for 5 in his career at Oaklawn for over $190,000. He was able to set a tepid pace that day, and now he's going to have to chase. There's no way around it. He's going to be off a Goalie, I would imagine. I shouldn't say there's no way around it. I cannot imagine Goalie's not on the front end in here, though. That would surprise me. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't.
Now, that was one of Gary Stevens' riders on board, and there he is, Giovanni Franco, on Strong Tide in that victory last out. Let's go to Gary for more.
Yeah, guys, Mike Lauer, the trainer of Strong Tide, came up to me where I'm stood right now earlier today, and he says, you can handicap. He said, how do you see this race? I said, probably the same way as you see it, and probably the same way that you guys are talking about. I said, goalie has speed as well as Lone Rock. They both have speed. Who's going to go? The good thing about this horse, I said, Giovanni knows him. He loves this horse. I said, he doesn't have to be on the lead. He can sit just off of. I don't think that you want to see him in any kind of speed duel early on. But, you know, it's a tough race to read. And basically, Mike said, I'm going to just leave it with Giovanni according to the pace and let him play it out. I think you're going to see him be patient with him. He does not want to get involved unless they're going entirely way too slow early on. Then he'll let this horse do what he wants to do. I know that man JK likes Lone Rock in here.
G, that is true. You were speaking the truth, my friend. I do like Lone Rock. Look, if you look at Lone Rock's past performances, you can look at the last race and the Razorback. Took a shot in there just to see. He got so good. Let's just make sure he doesn't want to go a little bit shorter. I didn't think he'd win the 9 furlong race 2 races before that in the Tinsel when he did. Now, if you look a little bit deeper, the only other race he really got beat in since he became Lone Rock, the horse that I once said would never lose a race over 1.5 miles on the dirt as long as he was racing. The only race he did get beat, he got beat by a stablemate, locally owned, trained by Tom Morley on a biased racetrack. The only time. Every other time he's running off the screen in these races, and I think he's about to do the same. It says 0 minutes to post, so I don't know, but maybe 45 seconds to the rack. I love Lone Rock in here.
He is, JK, Gary thanks, as reliable a horse as there is in training at these marathon distances on dirt. And back to that defeat that JK was talking about, that was a massively biased racetrack that day. He had every excuse in the world not to win that day against his stablemate. Aside from that, he has been lights out. I mean, you can't beat him.
Nobody wants to say the name of that race, by the way. The Grand Prix American Jockey Club. It's a listed race. I love it. It has almost every letter in the alphabet in it. Andy certainly and I like to joke around about it. Listen, there aren't too many horses in this country that are better at what they do than Lone Rock. He's a distance specialist. I couldn't agree more with everything Jonathan said. And he's supposed to get a good setup in here. He's getting they have to play his game, right? We have question marks with Last Samurai. We have Tenfold gets pieces, but he's not a winning type. I know Strong Tide won last time. Goalie won the mile. They both won at 1.5 miles, but are they true tried and tested 1.5 mile horses? No, they're not. Strong Tide probably a little bit more so than Goalie, who tried it for the first time. Last time was that Strong Tide has that 1 mile and 9/16 win, which is actually a 1/16 of a mile longer than 1.5 miles. So I'm good at math. I played 1-2-1-6, try and turn 4-5 into 7-8 to 1.
So we'll see. Can Lone Rock be as successful as he was as a 7-year-old when he was nearly unbeatable at this distance? He has the rail. Regular rider Ramon Vasquez for Diodoro. We're set for the Temperance Hill. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Lone Rock broke pretty well, and so did Strong Tide, and these two go out. Goalie away in third. Last Samurai is fourth, then Warbird, and the early trailer is Tenfold. They leave the back stretch the first time, and Lone Rock with company from his stablemate, and there goes Goalie, and now Goalie's going to take it over to the top of the stretch the first time. Lone Rock will sit second with Strong Tide just outside of him third. These three have separated themselves by about 4 lengths to Last Samurai. He's 2.5 in front of Tenfold, and the trailer is Warbird as they settle into the stretch for the first time around, and Goalie is the leader. Now Strong Tide moves up outside of him with Lone Rock at the rail. The top three are separated by about 2 lengths. Last Samurai gallops along in fourth for John Corton. He's about 4.5 off the lead, and Lone Rock just had to check inside of his stablemate's heels, and now he's going to go through and challenge. And look at the 2 Diodoro horses, and they bounce off each other at the clubhouse turn. Okay. Lone Rock at the rail, goalie just outside. Meanwhile, Strong Tide is happy to watch that go on, and he's third and a length from the front. 3.5 lengths now to Last Samurai. Then comes Warbird, and now Tenfold is the trailer as they turn into the backstretch. 6 furlongs to run in the third Temperance Hill, and goalie and Lone Rock are right there. Goalie has the lead just by a head, but now Lone Rock has had enough of that, and he puts his head in front as goalie's back to second. A length to Strong Tide in third. Warbird is up to fourth now, and he's only 2.5 from the lead. Tenfold moves inside of him, and now Last Samurai is the trailer. Less than a half-mile left to go. Lone Rock. Goalie's gone. He's going to finish last. So Strong Tide moves up outside of Lone Rock, and these two will now match strides leaving the backstretch. Lone Rock's a neck in front. Strong Tide is second by 2 lengths as Tenfold moves through at the rail. Last Samurai could still do it. He's only 3 from the lead. 4 back to Warbird. They round the far turn to the top of the stretch, and now Lone Rock is getting away. Lone Rock, Strong Tide is absolutely all in. He's about to lose second to Last Samurai, who has a chance. Here's Last Samurai and John Cord after Lone Rock, top of the stretch. Lone Rock leads by a length and 3/4. Last Samurai is second. Tenfold is at the rail third. Lone Rock is drifting out. Last Samurai is catching from the inside. Lone Rock, Last Samurai getting closer with every stride. Lone Rock, Last Samurai, Lone Rock turns him away and beats Last Samurai by a neck. Tenfold and Strong Tide.
Lone Rock, he does it again, and he had to contend with his stablemate. Some issues going on between these two, a little bumping early on.
I would imagine there are going to be movies for the stewards here. I would imagine Mr. Diodoro is going to have his own viewing of the Temperance Hill at the barn this week with David Cohen and Ramon Vasquez. Look, this horse is just an old pro at this point. Even a little pinball action with a stablemate who's right down the shed row from him isn't going to affect him by getting the job done here, because it looked like Last Samurai was going to get him, Greg, and he almost sensed him coming, and you could see him dig his heels in. He wasn't going to let this horse. I'm convinced they could have run from there to South Ozone Park, and he was never going to get by Lone Rock.
I'm with you. This horse is just won't be denied at this distance and even further. Does it again here. 15th win of his career. And it looks like, as I said, look, he had to overcome quite a bit in this race early on.
Fantastic effort. I mean, you know, again, we're waxing poetic about odds-on horses, but he didn't know he was odds-on, number one. He never does. And number two, after everything he endured there, man, still able to get the job done. That's a heck of an effort.
And drawn on the inside, he didn't want to be that forward early, I don't think, and he still managed to do it. We'll be back. We're going to take a break, look ahead to next weekend. And it's Wood Week. It's also the Carter and Speaker's Corner. We'll try and make it 3 graded stakes wins in a row for Hall of Famer Bill Mott. We'll have a preview when we come back.
Idle perfectly timed. Idle gets up under Joel Rosario to win the big gap. It's known agenda for St. Tobias Stable.
Race and the race, scintillating performance in the TBG Delmar debutante.
And Clariere will win the cotillion.
Down to the wire. Who's going to win it? It's Mala by a neck.
Curling, the classic sire.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
800 to go, 70, 50, 75, 850, 75, 175, 175, 150, 175. Ralph, 850,000. Thank you.
Volatile in front by 2. Whitmore is down at the rail. Forense Fire and Mind Control. It's Volatile in front as they pass the 16th hole. Volatile victorious in the Vanderbilt. 1 by 2 lengths.
850,000. Thank you.
Stay fabulous. Resorts World.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Just saw the feature out at Oaklawn, the Temperance Hill, and a gritty effort, determined. Lone Rock does it again at 1.5 miles.
Unbelievable effort today. A lot of fun watching this horse dig his heels in that last 16th of a mile or so. You'll see right here, Last Samurai is going to go inside here on John Cord, who's had a really nice meet at Oaklawn. He's going to get right to his neck, and he looks like he's going to go by him here, and Lone Rock says, sorry, buddy. I've been doing this a long time at this point. You're not going by me today. Got $4 on him.
Even money. That is surprising on a horse with his resume. Last Samurai 10-fold, second and third.
Easy as 1, 2, 3, Greg.
Strong tie, disappointing effort after as big as he ran last time out.
He took his shot. You know, they could have ridden him for second in the 150 grander, but they took a shot at Lone Rock going down the backstretch, and he just put him away, right? He didn't get to go 51, 116 on the front end. He dealt with a horse that is a pro at this, and, you know, they're playing his, like I said, it's so important. They were playing Lone Rock's game today, and he's able to show the versatility of making the lead sooner than he probably wanted to, having to deal with goalie and the pinball nonsense on the turn. He was just able to assert himself and assert his class at that distance.
Coming out party last year was the Brooklyn in New York. We going to see him again in that race this year?
I would imagine. I have a horse in the back of my mind. I don't know if he's still in training. He ran poorly in his last start. He kind of had no chance on the racetrack. There's a horse, I guess, they went to a single, so I got a Waxman for Todd Pletcher.
Okay.
He's a horse. They went to this. I felt the pressure of the single, guys. I feel like Waxman is a horse that could be one of these marathon types. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can. I don't know. I mean, after watching that effort from Lone Rock today, I don't know if I'm looking to try to beat him anymore. Yeah. But Waxman's a horse that I love. I'm a big fan of distance race. The Belmont Stakes is my favorite race every year. I love the distance dirt races, so I look forward to this series.
Yeah, they're fun. We still got the nightcap coming up at Oaklawn, 6 Furlong Sprint to close it out. Arkansas bred maiden special weight, and Lockmore taking money right now. Horse is actually stepping up in class. We'll talk more about this field when we come back, and we'll look back to yesterday's surprise upset in the Excelsior. The upset specialist Uriah St. Louis doing it again with Forewarned. Stay with us. We'll be back with more America's Day at the Races right after this.
Introducing Giftbox, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes-winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragazin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Giftbox, only at Lane's End.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, obviously he tries to do that stuff right there, you know, every now and then. But he's not overly aggressive about it. He don't try to chew your arm off or anything like that.
I like more than ready. I like the fact that he was versatile, dirt and turf. I mean, to be able to win the Belmont Derby and then come back and win the Travers. I mean, you know, the Travers is a midsummer derby. It's a big deal.
Catholic boy rolls in the run. Happy Travers!
Breeders really like that versatility and that stallions offer, like Catholic Boy, where you have multiple graded stakes winners on turf and dirt, short distance, long distance. You add the looks and the pedigree that he has out of more than ready out of a Bernardini mare, and you have two really good sires on top and bottom. His looks back him up as well as his race record. So we love what we've seen from the foals. Quite a compliment that my dad gave the foals the other day. He told me that he thought the Catholic Boy foals were the best foals we've had here at the farm since Warfront's foals, for freshman crop sires. So, you know, that says a lot. He's been around and seen a lot of good stallions in his years that he's been around the farm. So that's quite an endorsement for a Catholic Boy.
Our program brought to you in parts by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Take a look back at yesterday's feature in New York. It was a compact field in the Excelsior. It looked like Todd Pletcher had this field over a barrel, but yet again, the upset specialist Uriah St. Louis spoiled the party.
It's off the Pensy Pike at exit 6 on the New Jersey Turnpike. They turn up. You can't go on the Garden State Parkway. They have to take the Jersey Turnpike up. Jersey Turnpike comes up on the horse van, and here you go. So the entire race changes right away, Greg. His first Constitution looked like he was going to be loosey-goosey on the front end. It just doesn't break. And then Kendrick Kamush has to kind of rush him up between Untreated and the horse to his outside. And once he gets to the front, he's been pressured into that first turn now. A little bit of a different story than last time when he rode the inside bias and put the other speed, discouraged the other speed.
Yeah, had things last time out in the Jazzle as easy as could be. This time things changed, and that sets it up for the upset and forewarned. A horse who just a few starts back here at Aqueduct provided an even bigger upset at 42-1 in the Queens County.
He puts one Pletcher away in first Constitution, has to deal with Untreated, who, as I like to say, looked home Jerome at the 16th pole, but forewarned. And Dexter Haddock had other ideas and re-rallied along the rail to get the job done.
He was brave down on the inside.
He was. Trevor McCarthy did a fantastic job with Untreated, pushing the envelope. He never crossed the line, but he made things a little uncomfortable for forewarned. Without ever really making any contact or anything. It was race riding. We talk about it all the time. Race riding. We don't see enough of it. Race riding, he put him in a little tight, made him a little uncomfortable. Guess what? 4-1 said, sorry, buddy, not today. I'm going to get this Excelsior.
To be intimidated. Brave victory from Forewarned, who's been at it for a while now. 7-year-old who's making the 48th start of his career. Now 11 wins. And again, a race he was not supposed to win. Does it again. In terms of yesterday's exotics and multi-race wagers, that 9-2 played a lot bigger.
Double. It was like double. And now 3 of his last 4 efforts. 2 efforts here at the Big A, the Campbell down at Laurel. He's really kind of coming into his own. It's taken him, like you mentioned, 4 dozen starts. He's won almost a quarter of them, but he's really finding the best form of his career.
What are your plans for Wood Weekend?
As Rihanna would say, work, 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 work.
But it's going to be fun.
We got a lot of races to handicap, my friend. From the time we start things, we're going to draw here Wednesday. I'll probably come cover for Naira Betts, do maybe some video down from the room, get the draw done. That starts Wednesday.
I don't need the whole schedule.
It'll be an awful lot of these. We're spending a lot of time with these.
Not just the Wood. We got the Carter as well.
I'm a dirt guy. I'm a dirt race guy. I love the Carter, the Met Mile, the Belmont Stakes. This is always one of my favorite races of the year. And this is a fun bunch of horses that are going to kind of this is almost like a Breeders' Cup race because you have horses coming literally from all over the country, especially the East Coast, going to kind of meet up here and
I know we're going to get to Speaker's Corner in a second here, but would you say Green Light Go has been one of the best stories of this meet?
Fantastic story. Back with Jimmy Jerkins, where he started his career, where he did the best running in his career, and now he's back and he's blossoming as an older horse, and he's kind of found his niche, right? One turn. Let's keep him going short. Let's keep him going 7. You want to stretch him to a mile every now and then. That's fine. But I think he's finding what he wants to do. You know what the best part about that graphic was? All of these horses are coming in form. They put 7 horses on there. They all won their last starts from allowance races to stakes races. You love seeing that.
Maybe Drafted did it maybe the most impressively of anybody. He's going to be interesting. Speaker's Corner, though, for Belmont. This horse flashed big-time talent last summer at Saratoga. And he disappointed. I think at a mile and 1/8, he just does not want to go that far. Last 2 starts, they got him in a mile, and he has shown what he can do.
Fearless came back and won yesterday down at Gulfstream Park. He's beaten twice, not once, but twice now. And I'm going to tell you this, Greg. Everybody was, before Life is Good went and stubbed his toe in Dubai, everybody was talking about how Life is Good and Flightline, and we hope they all come here for the Met Mile. I hope they all come for the Met Mile, and I want to bet my money on that horse on the TV screen right now. I want Speaker's Corner. I think he has turned into a fantastic racehorse. Is a horse Belmont had high hopes from Jump Street, and he's now coming into his own. He's overcome some little issues he's had, and they have found his wheelhouse. 7 to a mile around. You hit the nail on the head. I don't think he wanted any part of 2 turns in the Discovery. Miles D came and put it on his head on the wire. I don't think he wants any part of those 2 turns. Bill realized that. Hall of Famers realize that. He's cut him back, and he has been nothing short of sensational this winter.
So if Pletcher cuts Life is Good back to a mile, you want Speaker's Corner.
I will load that Naira Bets Up account, and I will just send the army.
You said Jump Street. Johnny Depp right
send
here.
The
hoping
army.
to get rich on Met Mile Day. That would be... A few years ago, we had what we thought was maybe one of the best renditions of the Met Mile in many, many years.
Those
Thunder
3
Snow,
show up.
McKinsey. Remember that group in there?
I do.
This could surpass that. It's going to be a great rendition of it this year, but we got the preview coming up. Carter, in its own right, a tremendous Grade 1 event. Look at that lineup that we have on Wood Memorial Day. And in terms of the Wood, who are you most excited to see?
Man, early voting. I want to see what happens with early voting, because I have been a little bit of a negative Nelly when it's come to this 3-year-old crop. And early voting, I feel like, in my mind, could kind of save it a little bit, because I think he's better than what he's shown so far. I think he's better than his figures. And if he can outrun his figures and he can go into this race, into our Wood Memorial here, and kind of prove himself a little bit, I'd be looking forward to betting somebody in the Kentucky Derby.
I'm excited about Morello. This could be Steve Asmussen's year for a Derby. The one big one missing on his resume. It's going to be fun next weekend. We hope you join us. Wood Memorial, Carter. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to take a timeout. Nightcap still to come from Oakland.
I'm very bullish on it.
Tom's D'Etat's got a 4-length lead at the 16th pole. Tom's D'Etat has conquered the Clark.
Your best horses of the last 10 or 15 years are not consistently as fast as this horse.
It's total domination for Tom's D'Etat.
He's a beautifully balanced horse and a really good mover, and he's just full of class.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
If you're looking into racing partnerships, you should know they're not all the same. When you partner with Bond Racing Stables, you become a member of a growing family of racing enthusiasts, all guided by 3 generations of experience in thoroughbred breeding, training, and racing. Sharing the excitement at Saratoga and Belmont Park, where we've graced a winner's circle with winners like Giacosa, who was bred, born, and raised here at our Song Hill Farm. Get more than just a partnership. Become a member of the Bond Racing family. 3 generations of thoroughbred excellence.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
For a time, as many as 350 major league players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all major league teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
What do you think Babe Ruth's favorite wager was?
The Grand Slam.
There you go. Red Sox
Certainly
Yankees,
not the triple.
by the way. Red Sox Yankees going to be the first action on opening day on Thursday.
That'll be fun. It always is. For a Mets fan, it's always fun to watch the Red Sox and Yankees on opening day. Johnny I's excited about it, I can tell you that. Johnny I's probably the biggest Yankees fan I know. He loves it.
We got the nightcap still ahead at Oaklawn. We'll have the post-parade when we come back from a short timeout. Stay with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races here on FS2.
Aqueduct Saturday. Top-ranked 3-year-olds face off in the $750,000 Grade 2 Wood Memorial, presented by Resorts World Casino, New York's premier Kentucky Derby prep race. Watch and play the Wood Memorial Saturday, live on FS2.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. One more to come on this Sunday card out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Going to close out the card with a Arkansas bred Maiden special weight, everyone trying to get that first win. 6 Furlong Sprint ahead. And it's the 8 favored right now, Skyped. Blinker's going to come off today. We start with the 1 Lockmore. Big step up in class.
2 tag races up in class for maiden special weight, taking all of the money. I kind of don't get it, Greg.
Did take a big move forward, start number 2, but yeah, seemingly still has to move forward again in here. Aloe Henry, Ricardo Santana Jr. rides.
Yeah, this horse going back up into the maiden special weight ranks where he began his career. He found a little bit more success in for the tag, but I guess he's not impossible.
John Geraldo on Malintent, blinkers on.
Another raise in class. This horse made up some ground late, gets blinkers for the second start. We'll see what the former Bug Rider can do.
First timer taking money, the 4, more than amazing.
Yeah, 4-year-old gelded son of Amazing Destiny debuts here with a sharp gate work most recently.
Traffic control, a lot of opportunities, but he has some good sprints.
0 for 19. He cuts back from the mile on the 16th try, last out, back to the 3/4.
Bill Hill, start number 2.
Didn't do much running in his debut, just beat 2 home, and he's a big price as he should be.
They ran in the snow in his debut. Here's Macho Ronnie. He was the favorite first out.
Another one who's going from the claiming ranks. This one was claimed by Burl McBride, Alex Cancheri. This one had speed in debut. Let's see what happens today.
Skyped. This is our favorite right now.
Yeah, blinkers come off for the first time in the career. I'm not usually a big fan of that. We'll see how that works out with the 5-2 chalk. A little surprised there.
Coming against winners against Garhole as a maiden. Talk about a tough spot. Al Arcs, blinkers on, start number 2.
Debuted for 16, was the 5-2 lukewarm favorite. Gets the blinkers for the second start and bumps up in class.
And a first-timer outside, Secret Survivor by Ironicus.
Yeah, not taking much money here. Kind of a slow work tab for connections that don't have too many first-time starters under their belts.
Going to take a timeout. We'll be back with this last on the card on this Sunday afternoon from Hot Springs. Stay with us. We'll have it for you when we come back on FS2.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
The Thoroughbred Owner Conference is back in person for the first time in 3 years and is being held in the new 1863 Club at Saratoga Racecourse, July 25th and 26th. Attendees enjoy 9 ownership topics with an impressive list of speakers, along with social events to meet other owners and network, an opening reception at the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, a conference dinner, and an afternoon of racing at Saratoga. It's the 2022 Thoroughbred Owner Conference, July 25th and 26th. See you in Saratoga.
Run Happy, who was a #1 second crop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual future pool favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back. Good to have you with us here on America's Day at the Races. One more coming up out in Hot Springs. And the 9th to close it out, a state-bred maiden special weight sprint. And here is Aloe Henry, 5-1. This is the 8th opportunity. A horse who the first 4 starts of his career was actually in against maiden special or state-bred maiden special. This is back on March 24th. He was in for easier on this occasion, but he ran one of the bigger figures he has run in his career.
Yeah. I don't, these tag horses going in for the special weight, I mean, I know it's state breds and they hang up an awful lot of money, Greg, but it makes them really tough races to handicap because I just turned 45. but I'm as old school as it gets to handicapping. And I fully admit this. I have trouble getting the old theories out of my head, right? There are so many maiden claiming races now that it's not as big of a difference as it used to be. But there are horses in here. Traffic Control has almost, on his card for the last 12 starts, only in for the tag. But a lot of these horses have run only in for the special weight, rather. All these horses have all been for a tag.
Well, let's get Jonathan's thoughts on how to play this nightcap. JK.
Yeah, look, I thought the same thing when I looked at this race that the Big A was talking about. You talk about the one down on the inside. This horse ran for 20 last time. Normally, a horse who gets beat for 20, who wasn't bet for 20, shows up in a maiden special weight, I'm like, toss, But this horse didn't break particularly well at the beginning of this race, was finishing well, and got a fast speed figure. This is where, I think to Anthony's point, is that speed figures can save you from that kind of old way of thinking of it, with the fact that ran for a tag, now running maiden special weight. The speed figure here makes this horse competitive, and while I wouldn't be interested in taking the horse at 7-2, if we're just talking from an educational standpoint, and you're looking at a pick 5 that ends in this race, this is a horse I think you'd want to use. The 5 Traffic Control, this is a horse that's been running for maiden special weight, but geez, he's had 19 opportunities to break the maiden, and you got to start to wonder, does he want to get his picture taken? But he's in a speed figure, from a speed figure standpoint, he fits. And at 6-1, I would take him at 6-1 because he's got experience and he's shown numbers that are fast enough. And then the last horse I'll mention is the 7. This is a horse that took money first out maiden claiming and was taken. A lot of times when horses debut in a maiden claiming race, I think they're trying to kind of sneak one past sometimes and hoping that no one claims the horse if they have a horse that has a little bit of talent. This horse showed to have a little bit of talent, was bet like he had a little bit of talent, showed some early speed, and was then taken. Now the horse shows up protected, where McBride is realizing that if I enter this horse for a tag again, someone's going to take him for me. So if I had you had to nail me down to one, I would take the 5 or the 7 in these two spots, but I don't necessarily need the 8. I just don't think that horse is fast enough.
And that's an opportunity then to beat the favorite because the 8's the 5-2 top choice. That one horse who Jonathan was talking about, we showed you that race last time out. It's a good sign from the barn, the positive that they feel the confidence to move him up. He was closing with a rush in that performance, and he had that poor beginning. It was a good effort. Now, is he up to this task? You look at who he's facing, and with the exception of probably Traffic Control, who's been exclusively at this level, a lot of these horses have been in against easier.
He's got a 7-pound bug. He's drawn inside. Is that going to help him with his off slow and his traffic? Is that going to help? It's not a 2-turn race where saving ground is going to mean as much as it is in the sprint. Yeah, that was cute. See the little girl chasing after the horse on the outside fence? That's adorable. That's what we need, the next generation.
Yes, we do.
7-2? You want 7-2? Here's the other thing, Greg. You want 7-2 on anybody in here?
Yeah, that's the downside.
I don't.
But as good as the horse finished, it's hurting your price. JK did not like the 8 Skyped. Did you?
I want to try this. I want to try the 7 Macho Ronnie flag faulter. That's all. I'm going to do something I don't ordinarily do. Tag horse in for the special weight for the first time.
All right, we'll see what plays out here in the nightcap. Vic Stauffer, race 9 from Oaklawn.
Two more now left to load. Traffic Control and Secret Survivor. They're at the post. They're off. More Than Amazing completely blew the start. Macho Runny and a hard sand Ozarks show speed, Traffic Control, and Malintent at the rail. Skyped away in 5th, then Bill Hill and Aloe Henry with Lockmore, followed by Secret Survivor. And at the back of the pack, it's the slow starting More Than Amazing. It is Malintent to move through at the rail. He's a length in front of Macho Ronny and Ozarks. Bill Hill is 4th and about 2.5 off the lead. Skyped moves up on the outside, 1 position, 3.5 off the front. Aloe Henry and Traffic Control will have 5 lengths to make up. Lockmore is 7 off the lead. 3 back to More Than Amazing. The trailer is Secret Survivor, and the leader is Macho Ronnie. Macho Ronnie, Ozarks, and Malintent. These 3 at the top of the stretch. Skyped has moved into 4th, but now 2.5 off the lead. To the outside, and Ozarks, final furlong. Macho Ronnie has the lead. Malintent. Skyped is moving in the center. Even Aloe Henry trying to get through, and here comes Skyped. Late charge from Lockmore as well. Macho Ronnie. Skyped between horses. Lockmore in the center. Skyped just in front. Lockmore trying to get him. Skyped and Lockmore. Lockmore in time. Lockmore beat Skyped. Aloe Henry was 3rd. Finishing 4th, I think, was Bill Hill.
Lockmore. Vote of confidence by this barn to step this horse up in class, rewarded here with the victory. Closing, again, just as strong as he did, even stronger than he did last time he gets the win here.
Yeah, big effort right down the crown of the racetrack here under the Bug Boy of Medellin. Nice effort here. Nice effort here. What did he wind up going off, Greg? Was he the favorite when all was said and done?
I do not believe the 8 was the favorite. I'll take a peek.
Okay.
And we saw 7-2 was the last price. We saw 5. He actually floated up to 5-1.
Wow. Updrift. Those are the greatest.
Wow, you don't get that often.
Those are fantastic. You think you get 9, you get back 12? Wow. It's like finding a candy bar in your front seat.
We had the odds up right before they went in the gate. He was 7-2.
We did. Big effort. Nice effort. Really.
Had you known, that was one of the reasons you did not like this. Had you known 5-1, would you have changed your tune?
Well, I don't know if I would have changed my tune. And it's different. I'm a multi-race guy, right? I play the horizontals, pick 4s, pick 5s. Am I using him in a pick 4 and a pick 5 today if I played one? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in a race like this, I would have wanted to use 4 or 5. So 5-1 in the win pool wouldn't have been something that would have been a moot point, for the simple fact that I wouldn't have been able to separate the handful of horses I used unless one of them was 15-1 or 20-1. Then you take a little flyer. But if you're alive, you don't need to take a flyer. Never understood that either. People that bet to win when they're alive in multi-races.
Talked about the great schedule that we have coming up next weekend. Includes the Wood Memorial and the big one on the road to the Kentucky Derby here in New York. Morello for Steve Asmussen. He has step by step stretched out further and further in distance. Now he's going to get 1 mile and an 8 for the first time, but he has passed every single test. Just aced it.
You know, so far he's looked like a one-turn horse, so maybe you could say that him trying 2 turns, he's trying to rage against the machine.
Well done.
Like that?
Named after Tom Morello?
Yes, sir. Listen, his Gotham, he was good. I am skeptical of him going 1 mile and an 8.
Looks like he's finishing pretty good here to me.
It does. That mile, we talked about it yesterday with Secret Oath, going the mile and a 16th to the mile and an 8th, and how much different that 16th of a mile
What
can
makes
be.
you think that a mile and 8 is going to be a problem?
I just feel like him just sitting off the pace in the one-turn races that kind of plays to his running style. He just doesn't look like a 2-turn horse to me. But I hope I'm wrong. Connections are great. Love to see the local trail take you to the first Saturday in May. I'd love to see the local trail take you to the first Saturday in May and put the roses around your neck. We haven't seen that in a long time. I hope we see it this year.
I think he's really exciting, but he's got to answer the question. Can he get that mile and an 8th? And then, of course, everyone's got to answer the mile and a quarter question on Derby Day. But can he take that next step? Early voting, of course. Lightly raced, but he's been incredibly talented and exciting for Chad Brown. Wanted 1 mile in his debut, and then he wanted 1 mile and an 8th next time out. Yeah,
I mean, he's been good. He's been real good. Nothing wrong with how he's done so far in his 2-race career, in his short career. And this is a daylight win. This is a daylight win in the Withers. He's going to have to get faster. He's going to.
But he's only raced twice, so you would expect that would happen coming out of this barn.
Absolutely. I like what I love about our trail here in New York is trainers don't, more often than not, trainers aren't going to run their horses 3 times before the Kentucky Derby, or they're really not going to run their horses 4 times this year before the Derby. So what we do is we go mile in the Jerome, mile and an 8th in the Withers, mile in the Gotham, mile and an 8th in the Wood Memorial. What's good about that is, more often than not, these horses are going to skip one of those races. When they skip, they can go mile, mile, mile and an 8th, mile, mile and an eighth. I think it's a great setup. I really do.
Lock-
Years ago, it wouldn't have worked. Now it does.
Lockmore takes the nightcap in Hot Springs at 5-1, $12.80 for the victory. Trained by Bruce Reichen. Skyped one second, Alo Henry third in there. It was Eric Medin aboard for the win. We're back Thursday, April 7th on FS2, 1 Eastern start time. It was pretty clever, part of a 3-win afternoon for Kendrick Carmouche, taking the feature in New York, and Lone Rock back at a mile and a half and back to being unbeatable once again, even though he had a little bumping and pinned in by his stablemate, still able to get the victory. We will see you Thursday. Have a great weekend.